our goal is liberation. Our goal is communism.
Мира и счастья всем вам, друзья мои.
And, we have a unique responsibility to act from the heart of empire, the belly of the beast. The most important thing that we can do is take that empire down from within.
Our role ultimately is to facilitate our own empire's failure in ways that we can, ultimately to overthrow our own empire.
U.S. imperialism is not a thing that can be reformed away. It has to be overthrown through revolutionary struggle.
And to build a mass movement that can use the leverage of workers to hit the kill switch on American imperialism here within the American empire.
Our candidates run as Democrats. We're on the Democratic Party ballot line. We contest the primaries. And when they're in the legislature, they're part of the Democratic Party caucus. But we don't agree with the way the Democratic Party establishment organizes or runs its party apparatus.
It's no secret that the Democratic Socialists of America hate the Democratic Party.
I think we're all on the same page that we hate the Democratic Party.
The Democratic Party is not really our friend. It isn't.
So why are the DSA such major players in the Democratic Party? This odd relationship can be understood with the cuckoo analogy. In nature, the cuckoo survives by trickery. It lays its egg in another bird's nest. The unsuspecting parents raise the imposter as their own until the cuckoo grows strong enough to push the true chicks out. The DSA is the cuckoo inside the Democratic Party.
DSA is not the Democratic Party.
We must separate ourselves from the toxic Democratic Party.
We can put forward a clear, aggressive, principled strategy that pushes back against the Democratic leadership and the Democratic Party as a whole.
DSA candidates run as Democrats in safe blue districts. They slip through low turnout primaries. And once inside, they use the Democratic label as camouflage while advancing an extremist anti-American agenda far beyond the party's mainstream.
Democrat Socialists of America meeting in Denver, more than half of them are wearing the mask. They also look completely deranged. It looks like another Antifa convention or something. And it's very, very sad. We have to understand the psychology of people. They believe they're really going to get a free lunch. So they're already primed to be in a cult. And just like the Nazis wore an armband, these people have purple, green hair, look super unhealthy, take SSRIs, take all the deadly shots, and wear the mask because it is a sacrament that they basically buy into the system and whatever it says. I mean, right out of the corporate media, right out of the universities, right out of BlackRock, whatever BlackRock pushes in their ESG scores, most powerful, richest consortium on earth, 87% of world assets, they follow it to a T.
You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
So there they are wearing their masks that don't protect you. They always knew it gives you bacterial pneumonia. There they are completely buying into the system. And then you just see how desperate they are, looking like total victims, totally lost, believing that Mondami and all these people are going to give them something free. For a little while, they'll get something free here and there, but it's only to transfer power into the state.
DSA victories prove their plan works.
I think that the model that we used in New York is 100% replicatable.
But it's the illusion that they're getting something free they like. Just like people buy lottery tickets, even though it's one of the worst investments you can engage in. It's the same thing as people going to casinos. The house in the end always wins in the aggregate. So it's a big problem. And of course, the fact that we have a crony capitalist system that's vertically integrated, run by the very same people pushing communism.
It's our duty, DSA, to cultivate this power.
The cuckoo is in the nest, not a Democrat, but Zohran Mamdani, an extremist within the DSA.
We understand that winning an election is not an end. It is a means to an end.
These corporate fascists who've consolidated the wealth of 1%, like 1/100th of 1%. People think that this is capitalism. We're under what's really monopoly, oligopoly, and where's Teddy Roosevelt to bust up the trust when you need him?
All right, we're here. Welcome to the show. Let me figure out what the hell I'm doing here. All right, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Check my sound. Got to do that because, we're, never know. Around here, you never know if it's working. So, Thank you for being here. What's today? Today is July 17th, right? July 17th, 2026. Thank you for being here. We got an action-packed show for you tonight. I'm going to do my best to keep energized here. I was doing some reflecting, and I realized that I was getting I don't think I was getting black pilled, but definitely depressed in a way, and like a bah humbug kind of low energy, going through clips, doing all this stuff, and and just like it's so sickening to see what's going on, and I have to remember that there's more to this than just um, letting my audience know what's going on. There's way more to it. And so I'm going to do my best to let my personality come back a little bit. And I know over the last few months, I've really gotten, uh, maybe less energetic or down a little bit. So I'm going to do my best to pull it back up, but I think, not making excuses, but I think one of the things that happened for me and a lot of other people that do this work here is we get into this stuff and we start reading about whether it's the Epstein files or the illegal voting, or or Iran war, or Charlie Kirk assassination, and there's all these lies coming at you from every direction. There's majority of the comments are good, but then you have those ones, and I try to stay away from the negative comments, but it starts to drag you down a little bit. And I got to remember that like this is about getting quality, up to date information that most people are putting out in a month, because I want to model myself after like a Infowars Alex Jones type, tomorrow's news today kind of thing. And I'm not taking his tagline by no means. He's the GOAT. We know that. But I want to give you information that is, not going to get out to in the media for a month. I want to give it to you before that, so you can go, oh, I already know about that because Inspector John Webb was talking about it, and we're already up on that because he's way ahead of the curve, and I try my best to do that. So I want to remind everybody that I'm gonna do that. Now I got my commitment to that. Before we get started, I want to share something with you. I started Masterpiece it's been about 2.5 months. Right away after 2 weeks of doing this is Zeolite, it does a lot more, and I'll pull an ad for it for the next show. I've been really working on some stuff today, so I didn't have a chance to pull a full ad. I'll do a full ad on this, but listen, let me tell you. First thing that I noticed when I took the Zeolite, the Masterpiece, getmasterpiece.com, it's on my description. Go down there. It's the first one down there. Hit that, and it takes you to the website. I mean, for less than $30 a day, there's a two-month bottle. This bottle will last you 2 months, 5 drops twice a day. I take 10 drops because I'm really messed up. And this is what it does, is it gets rid of the fluoride and the parasites and all the nasty stuff that's happened in the food. Our whole life, we've been poisoned by the atmosphere. We've been poisoned by the food, the water, everything. I was a big soda drinker 20 years ago. I haven't drank soda in many years, but all that stuff, the sugars and all this crap that we take into our body, candy. I was, if anybody, for some of you that have been around a long time with me, I used to be 315 pounds. I'm 210, 212. And I lost a lot of weight, and how I did that was fasting and working out. And I've been on since 2020. I lost 70 pounds. Then I got sick from that bullshit that was going around, and then I lost another 30 pounds, and I never put it back on. I put a few pounds on, and I realized that I need to get back to it. But to talk about the Zeolite, first thing that happened was my dreams came back and my skin started clearing up, and my eyes, I have really bad eyes from wearing glasses. I have dark circles around my eyes, and they're starting to go. It's starting to go away, and it's the parasites and everything in the atmosphere. I mean, they're poisoning us in the skies. I mean, come on. Look, anybody that doesn't know that at this point, you've been in a I don't know, in a cave. I don't know. Everybody should know this, that don't drink tap water. I mean, we should all know this now because it's been mainstream for many years. But my point is, for about $1 a day, you can get this. Put 5 drops under your tongue in the morning when you get up, 30 minutes before you eat, before bed, boom, and you'll be what happens is remarkable. The first thing that came back is vivid dreams. And I want vivid dreams because I believe that there's a connection to God through our dreams. I believe that. Now, you don't have to believe that, but I believe that. And that was the first thing that happened. About 2 weeks, I started having vivid dreams again. I hadn't had vivid dreams in years. And, I contribute a lot of that to how heavy I was and how I ate garbage food, fast food and all that stuff. That stuff's all poison. I don't go nowhere near. I haven't had fast food in probably, I don't know, at least 8 years. But the point, let me get to the point. Try zeolite. It's Get Zeolite. Go on my description. Click the first one right there in the description. Go on there. Sign up. It's like 2 month supply, $55. It's a great deal, and I guarantee that it's going to change your life. Okay, so that's the plug. There's some other stuff on there. My Patriot Supply and some other restorable foods, generators, and all that kind of stuff on there as well. Check it out. Your support helps me stay. Okay. And, I do have a day job. In about 4 years, I'm going to retire. I'm going to start doing this full time. By then, hopefully, I'll have a full crew in the studio, and we'll be doing this full time, 6 days a week. That's the plan. We're just building right now. And it's small. It's small because I'm building by myself, and I have, don't get me wrong, I have reached out to a lot of people. And because I don't have 100,000, 200,000 subscribers, it's hard to get anybody to call you back. It's okay. I will keep plugging away, and 1 subscriber at a time. By the way, subscribe to the channel, and I will just keep plugging away because what I know is if I build it, they will come, and that's what I'm doing. So let's get into the show. What are we doing? We're going to talk. What are we going to talk about? Where we're going to start at? We're going to start with Lindsey Graham. We're going to cover the gay guy, Lindsey Graham, the guy with the girl's name. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover the sister that's taken over for him. We're going to cover that. What else are we going to cover? We're going to get into some Charlie Kirk stuff. We're going to go a little bit light on the Charlie Kirk stuff. I'm not going to overdo it because we spent 2.5 hours last week, or hour and 45 minutes, excuse me, on Charlie Kirk last week. And I don't want to just do all one topic. I want to get some things. We're also going to cover, I'm going to cover a couple articles. I just have 3 articles. I'm going to just read some of them. One's about Taco Bell and what it's doing to you, election integrity, which we have a lot on election. We're going to do a bunch of stuff around election integrity. We're going to talk about Brian Harple and that stuff also. And we're going to break down some stuff that people aren't talking about. Everybody's talking about that Charlie was killed, but they're not talking about this internal stuff, the things that we need to talk about, like TPUSA and what's really going on within TPUSA and stuff like that. We're going to get into some of that. And by the way, it's all alleged. Okay, let's just say that right now. We don't need Blondie suing me too. Okay, because she's already got her hooks in all kinds of people, because that's what they do when they don't like what you say. They sue you. So anyway, we're gonna allegedly, all this stuff is my opinion only. So anyway, let's get into it. One of the things that has came across my radar was Lindsey Graham's sister. And I'm like, Lindsey Graham's sister. Now, when have you ever heard of a senator dying and then they just put the sister in there to run the show? Like, I thought there was a vote involved and all that stuff. Just how's that work? From what I found out, and we're going to get into the report here in just a minute. What they've done is they've came to her right after Lindsey's been killed allegedly. I don't know. The jury's out on that whole thing, whether he was killed in Ukraine or, if he came home and had a heart attack, right? Because or if they brought his body back and stuffed it in the house and then called 911 and said that he died at home from a cardiac arrest or whatever, right? I mean, and then the FBI's in his house for full day and a half. So I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to get into that yet. We're going to let the chips fall, and then we'll get into it, because I'm going to just be careful about how I attack that one, because that one is probably being a warmonger. There's probably a whole lot more to that than what meets the eye. And so we're gonna just wait for the stuff to come out on that before we report on Lindsey Graham. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about Leah Files, the Leah Files. If you haven't followed her, you should follow her. It's on X, the Leah Files, or on Substack. She does full reports on all these different topics. And so if I have a video from her, she's usually done a full breakdown on her Substack about all the details about all these different things. She's done a bunch on TPUSA, Charlie Kirk, lots of different people, Ben Shapiro. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But right now, we're going to talk about Lindsey Graham's sister. Stand by.
Breaking news, and I never do breaking news, so you know it's big. The governor of South Carolina has announced Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, to take over until January 3rd, when the new person comes in that wins the midterms. Just like many of you, I was like, WTF. So I got to work. First, I want to tell you a little bit about Darlene, and then I want to tell you about why I think they did this. Darlene Graham Nordone, she was Lindsey Graham's younger sister, and their mother died when she was very young, like 12 or 13, and then 15 months later, their father died of a heart attack. Lindsey Graham then adopted her formally before he went into the Air Force so that she could get military dependent benefits. And he raised her. He was her guardian. Keep that in mind. She got a sociology degree, and she does a lot of work with the state for like things with blind people. She has state experience, but it is leading initiatives and things for blind people. So no debate, no voting, none of that, okay? Honestly, seems like a good person. And I rarely say that. But here's the problem. Trump announced on Truth Social that she was going to throw her name in the hat. This was before she had even confirmed it. And when asked about it, she was like, I am utterly devastated right now. Basically, I can't even think about it. And that is the important part, because this is a good woman who is mourning not only her brother, but the only person that raised her that she had left. Then she gets a call from Thune and one other senator who then convince her that it is her duty to carry out Lindsey Graham's legacy. You a-holes. Because here's the thing. What's really happening behind the scenes is that they've got a lot of votes coming up, and Mitch McConnell is, and they got to hide that. So they're losing their majority with both of them gone. And Nancy Mace had already been positioning herself for this, and she's a very strong candidate for this position. And Trump wasn't having it because Nancy Mace, like her or not, he was one of the people who went across to expose and get the e-files out. And that is why Trump does not like her. Because God forbid we don't protect the child predators, So they'll do anything to keep Nancy Mace out. So they get Lindsey Graham's sister, who has no federal experience. So all she is going to do is be guilted into voting the way that he would be voting. She's not going to push back. She doesn't have enough experience. They know this. So they guilted this woman into doing something that I don't think she wanted to do. And that's that. Every day, I don't think I can hate them more than they do something like this. So there you have it. That is Darlene. They're just going to try to get a bunch of stuff passed. But in the end, it would have happened if Lindsey was alive. I do think that it's messed up that they are forcing this woman to be thrown into the spotlight while she is mourning the one person that she has left. You guys are evil, evil people.
And we know that they are absolutely evil, and they will actually absolutely do whatever they have to do to get whatever it is that they need passed, done, handled, kill whoever they have to, put whoever under the bus, get rid of people. They'll do whatever it takes for the narrative, their narrative. And right now, their narrative is Iran and Israel. How do you say that? Israel. So, hey, like, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of this if she goes with that, like she's saying, they're going to manipulate her into doing exactly what they want her to do, vote how she want, you got to vote how Lindsay voted because you're his legacy and all that stuff. Or if something else is going to happen, like find out, the truth about what's going on in the Senate, because that would be great if we could just find out. Really, I mean, we already know, but it's just like the voting polls and the voting booths or the voting machines and all that stuff, the mail-in ballots and stuff. We know, but we don't know. I mean, we don't have it. Now we do, because they've literally put out report after report after report. And I went on the website, the whitehouse.gov website, to pull the stuff. The files were too big. So I don't know if that is intentional with the White House to have the files so big that they won't open, but I have to do some research with my IT guy maybe tomorrow and find out what's going on, because I could open I think I could open one of the files, which was a smaller two-page report that I could look at, and it was heavily redacted. But all the stuff with China and the CCP or the what's it called? That whole thing. What's it called? Can't think right. Yeah, well, it's basically the CCP, right? And all ours. Shit, I can't think of the acronym right now. So anyway, I tried to look at it so I could pull some stuff on it, and I couldn't. So we'll get to that a little bit later, some of the stuff. But what I want to do right now is we're going to put a pin in Lindsay, Miss Lindsay. What do they call her? Lady Lindsay? Call him Lady Lindsay or something. And I was looking, it hit my feed like a few times, and I was like, huh, interesting. Tucker Carlson was all these different clips of people trying to get Tucker Carlson to talk shit about Candace. And I mean, lots of people, like 20 different people, maybe 30. I don't know, a lot of different. So it's a compilation of all these people attempt to get Tucker Carlson to talk shitty about his friend. And, Tucker's very loyal, by the way, if you don't know. And by the way, if you didn't know, now you do. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News for the illegal, because he was talking about the stolen election. I mean, it wasn't the only thing, but that was one of the major things that Rupert Murdoch fired him for, got rid of him because he was so outspoken about the 2020 election. I don't know if you remember that. So, sounds like, the feather in Tucker's hat there, right? And a whole bunch of other people, because there's a lot of people that were fired. I believe, what's her name? Catherine Heritage was fired for the same thing. I'm not sure what she was fired for. I guess I should do more research before I get into that. But yeah, a lot of people were fired in that time around the 2020 election, after 2021 and all that stuff, because it was a clear stolen election, which I'm putting the cart before the horse. Let me stay in my lane here, and let's do this compilation of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens talking about Candace. Stand by.
So why do people like Candace so much? Because they sense in her, she might be wrong. Is she lying to me? Not on purpose. They sense the purity of her intent. That's the truth.
Your very good friend Candace Owens has been putting out some pretty wacko stuff, I would say, would be my opinion, on the death of Charlie. It's not helpful, is it, that, at that time of an incredible national upheaval, an obviously personal and familial family tragedy, to have someone like that suggesting that there are darker forces at play here that the US government have a hand in covering up. It just, can you see why people get upset by that and would like you perhaps to sort of distance yourself from that sort of thing?
Pretty funny. So am I going to attack Candace Owens because you
I'm
think
not asking you to attack. I'm not asking you to attack her.
I'm not going to do that, Harry.
Candace Owens, I've known a long time. I love Candace Owens. Anybody who is earnestly searching for the truth, whether they're right or wrong, but as long as they're motivated by a desire to find out what happened and therefore honor Charlie's memory by getting to justice, anyone who's doing that, I'm not going to criticize. Again, no matter what track they're on.
Candace Owen, Charlie Kirk's assassination, conspiracy theory. What's your take?
And I don't think we should be intimidated out of asking those questions. Those are not unpatriotic questions. Those are questions that I think, express our reverence for Charlie Kirk. This is a way to honor him. So I have said from the beginning, if you don't like what Candace Owens is saying, why don't you call her and offer a more plausible explanation for what happened? Oh, she's bad. She's bad. Okay. I mean, I like her a lot. I don't think she's bad, but I love her, actually.
Like, Charlie Kirk is months ago now. And to this day, I think the most Americans still feel like we don't have an honest set of answers.
There's been almost no pressure on federal law enforcement to cough up the freaking facts and to tell a story that makes sense, that's got internal coherence, that like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I get it.
Exactly.
I don't know many of the details, but I know that recently Candace said that Egyptian registered aircraft who were following Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, around for a number of years in different places in the world. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. And I just want to say that is factually true. And it also her claim that, there were kind of a disproportionately large number of foreign registered cell phones at the event. I want to believe it was a lone gunman who was a tranny or something. I want to believe that.
That is a lot better of an answer, a lot more comfortable.
100%. I want that. By the way, I'm a middle-aged man. I'm a normie. I don't want to believe anything other than what they tell me. But they've made it impossible for me. Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Yeah.
And he was not murdered for his opinions on transgenderism, obviously. He was, I believe, and most people who knew him well, as I did, and was friends with him as I was, believe he was most likely murdered for his evolving views on Israel.
It's spectacularly unhelpful to have conspiracy theories, questioning the.
Unhelpful to whom? I'm not referring specifically to Candace Owens or anyone else, but like, what is it? What are you even talking about? Why is that unhelpful?
Do I trust Candace more than I trust your average DOJ official? Are you joking?
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? What is this? What is reality, actually?
Candace, your average DOJ official? Opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right. And I've done a bit of work around Candace to see, I've kind of went back into the stuff around PragerU and Daily Wire, and you can kind of see the whole thing as it transpired, where she started coming alive and seeing that what was going on was against her morals and values, and that's why she started backing away and got out of there from those places. And what Ben Shapiro did to her is rotten. Okay, absolutely rotten. And what they do, and I don't know Candace. I only know her from her show or clips I see or interviews that she's done. That one with Sean Ryan was pretty decent. It was a pretty long one, actually. 5 hours, over 5 hours. Anyway, I believe Candace believes what she believes, and whether it's true or not is completely, on her. She can believe whatever she wants. It's a free country. It's not a crime to have a thought. What I can tell you is I've done the research on the aircraft, and the aircraft is definitely something that was there. I believe, and I covered it last week in detail, I believe that that plane that came in, went low, released a drone. It's my belief. I'm allowed to have my own thought and my own opinion. Released a drone, came back after Charlie was killed, assassinated, and grabbed the drone. I believe that. Now, if somebody wants to show me something different, I'm all open for it. But I believe that more one. How's it go? More than one, two things could be happen at the same time, even three. And I believe that he was shot in the back here, behind the ear, shot in the chest, and there's a very high probability that that exploded mic was a backup plan to a backup plan, because they shot him in the chest. I believe the reason why they shot him in the chest is so it looked like he got shot from the building above. And I believe that it was an operation. I believe that the people that were involved in that are deep. I think it's very deep. You got Netanyahu comes out right away and says he wasn't, he didn't kill Charlie. Nobody even said he killed Charlie, but he came out to let us know, and then went on a media tour to let everybody know on Fox News and all these News Nation, wherever, to say that he didn't kill Charlie and that Charlie was his Netanyahu is Charlie's biggest fan, all that stuff, right? We know that. We also know that there was a bunch of registered phones from Israel on UVU. We know that. That was verified. We also verified that, they took out 10 inches of dirt underneath where Charlie was shot at and paved it back before the weekend was over. I think he was killed on Wednesday. I got to rephrase. Let me rephrase that. He was assassinated on Wednesday, and by Monday morning, they had the pavers complete. 5 days, 4 or 5 days. I mean, it's too many coincidences here, okay? So when she says that stuff, I believe a lot of the stuff that she's saying, I believe. Now, are there some holes in some stories? We don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. If you're on the wrong side of Candace, or you're on the looking glass of Candace, if there's something fishy, she's gonna find it. Period. Because she's just she's good at it. She's very good at what she does. So whether or not Charlie was killed by a road mic, or by a drone, or by a palm pistol, or whatever, the bottom line is, it was a coordinated effort to do it. There's a bunch of patsies. I mean, there's 3 different distractions. There's all this shit going on at the same time, and you're just like, how in the hell? And then they're like, oh no, we're not going to investigate it because we got the shooter, this lame looking dude that the whole thing doesn't make sense. Lance Twiggs has more DNA on all the items that they found than Tyler Robinson. Explain that to me. It don't make sense. None of it makes sense. So I'm getting off topic, but that's the truth. Okay, that's my truth. Whether it is the truth, I don't know, but that's what my opinion is. And allegedly, that's what's going on in my brain right now. Period. That's just, I'm definitely open for somebody to show me something different. I've seen all the investigations at 30-06 and all these different operations of 30-6s, all these different types of ammo. I've seen all that stuff, and none of it makes sense. That he definitely wasn't shot with a 30-06 from 144 yards or whatever it was. It's all bullshit. And and then you got cash. There's just too many anomalies for me. Okay. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's just keep going. So one of the things that's going on is, some people are saying that Charlie Kirk was Israel first, and then other people are saying that he was definitely all about Israel, and then he found out what was going on, and then after Gaza, after October 7th, his views on it things started changing, and he was pulling away from Israel and AIPAC and all that stuff, and then he thought that he told some of his team that he felt like they were going to kill him and all that stuff. All that stuff has all been verified. Now, Fuentes has a take on it, and I thought it was decent enough to bring it in, and we'll talk about what Nick Fuentes has to say about Charlie Kirk prior to his assassination. Stand by.
I've seen enough. I've heard enough. That theory was ridiculous from the beginning. Whatever you think about Charlie Kirk, I obviously have my own personal, political, professional feelings about him. I think it's a horrific tragedy that he died. I think it's one of the saddest moments in our country's history. And I don't even think that's an exaggeration. I really do. And as much as I have my disagreements, it's a disgusting, horrific act of brutality against a father, a husband. And I really do believe he was an admirable person. Even if I didn't share his politics, didn't agree with his approach, hard worker, the guy was the best at what he did. No doubt about it. You can't not give him his due. I will tell you firsthand, as somebody that debates, I couldn't go and field any question from any college student at 200 events in a year. That's like a superhuman ability. Guy had it going on, okay? Horrific thing, but let's just be clear about who he was and what he represented. He was at the cross-section of the GOP base, which is increasingly these young white men on the campuses who increasingly are Israel critical. But he also sat between them and the donors. The donors, the big donors and the small donors, the middle-sized donors who are from a different generation. It's boomers, secular boomers, Protestant boomers, and a lot of Jews. And so he sat at the crossroads at a fateful inflection point in history where the boomers are very pro-Israel, the donors are very pro-Israel, the institutions, the establishment is going one way, and the young people, who it was his job to corral into the GOP and organize and get them involved, they were going very anti-Israel. So why is there this contention? Why is it controversial? Was he on the side of Israel in the pocket? Was he turning against them? Well, I think the picture is a reflection of the moment and the position that he was in, which is that as a turning point leader, as the turning point founder, as the guy whose job it was to speak to the younger generation, and he did it every day on TikTok, on the campuses, he realized the extent to which Israel was falling from grace and losing popularity. He saw firsthand how unpopular it was becoming with the young people. He saw firsthand how attitudes were changing about Israel, and he knew there was a problem. He knew that was a problem for Israel. He knew it was a problem for the GOP, and increasingly it was becoming a very acute problem for him, because the more that he defended Israel, the more it hurt his credibility. If your job is to get the young people involved and excited and organized, and they all hate Israel, and your job is to go and defend Israel, it's going to create a lot of friction. And I believe he was unhappy that he was put in that position. And that was reflected in the letter he sent to Netanyahu. He said, listen, man, I can't do all the work. I'm holding down the fort defending Israel, but you got to meet me halfway and help me. Because these are losing arguments, and my job is to win arguments. These young people are not convinced, they don't like you, and the more I defend you, the more they don't like me. Help me help you. That was his message to Netanyahu. I think that was his message at Turning Point SAS in July of 2025, when he had Tucker talk about Epstein and he had the debate between Dave Smith and Josh Hammer. And I think that is what he conveyed even in those private Telegram messages. But he was also on the side of the donors in the sense that Turning Point was a very rich organization, deeply connected to the Trump administration. And we know how much juice, we know how much power the Zionists have. So he also couldn't really upset them either. He couldn't completely alienate those guys at the same time. And I think this is where this perception comes from, that he was about to have this ideological epiphany and he was going to go against Israel. I think it represented a frustration. that he was being torn in two. He had to be bipolar because he would speak to the donors and he'd speak to the young people, and the donors wanted one thing and the young people wanted something very differently. And I think it was out of frustration that he was saying, I can't please everybody here. And I think that's why there was this appearance of a flipping or something like that.
Yeah. And, I mean, again, whether you agree with all that or not, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I believe that on one level, that's exactly what was going on. I think that, you have donors that are giving millions of dollars to Turning Point, and you have your college kids that are like looking up to you as a voice within the internet sphere, and a lot of people looked up to him. A lot of people really found out that some of the things that Charlie talked about, whether it was marriage or, which is weird because now they're, his widow is doing exactly the opposite of what he preached, talked about, that the wife should be home with the kids, but it's another time, another story for another time. But some of the things that he talked about was really about getting away from colleges that waste your time unless you're going to be an engineer or doctor or something that is like, you have to have the education to be a part of. But if you're going to school to learn cultural diversity or some bullshit like that, it doesn't make sense, because it's a nothing, go nowhere, no money. There's no career in it unless you're going to be some philosopher. You know what I mean? And he was, and these kids were like really taken to that. And when you're getting pulled by your donors that are funding all this, right? Because college kids don't have a bunch of money, and then you got your base, which is all these people, and they're getting all these kids to vote, and first time voters, and doing all this stuff. Really, his whole thing was about bringing the kids, the new generation, up to get involved in voting, being a conservative and a Christian, all these different things, right? And I believe that part. Now, if Charlie was towing a line, I don't know. Right away I seen that that email, or that what was it? Harrison Smith put out a tweet about Israel going to kill Charlie and all that stuff a month before Charlie's assassination. That told me a lot about what was coming. And so I believe that Charlie was like, I'm out of here because this doesn't work, because what you're doing to my brand, which now they've completely thrashed his whole legacy, is just wiped out. What TPUSA, and we're going to get into a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of it here shortly. But if you think about it, what Charlie was about was bringing the new generation up to get involved in politics, or at least to get involved in knowing who the right people to vote for are. And, that's another conversation, but does your vote really matter is where we're at right now. I mean, that's where we're really at right now. Does your vote even count? Does it matter when you vote? Does it do anything? But reverse couple years, there was still this understanding, or this thought, 24, 23, this thought of like, if you could vote, then you can make a difference. Now we look back at what's happened in the last couple of years, and we're like, your vote don't mean shit. But that's another conversation for another day, or maybe a little bit later. We'll get into it when we get to the voting stuff. But I believe that he was killed for his thoughts, opinions, for his actions, to get away from the people that were funding him and from all the investigation work that I've done and others have done. When you're getting paid by the mafia and you stop taking the mafia's money, they get rid of you. We know that. We know that. And that's exactly what happened. That's my opinion. Okay. I think that's what happened. Let's take a breath. We're going to take a breath right here. Stand by.
You guys remember the Thomas Crown affair?
Center entrance, gray overcoat.
Bring up the lobby on the big ones.
How's he doing? It's almost like he wants to make sure that we see him.
Let's play ball. How does law enforcement profile somebody?
There he goes.
How they're
Bowler
walking,
hat.
their
We're gonna
gait,
pick 'em up.
whether or not they're wearing sunglasses, the shirt they're wearing. Quietly. Excuse me.
Coming up the stairs of the park.
As the presentation is being shown to the public today, I realized that they just ran that script. These people run scripts.
Stay with the paint.
So the
Stay
script
with
was
the
the
paint.
Thomas Crown affair.
No, what? Look, man, I can't. Shit, look, there's another one.
The images that we have.
These guys with bowler hats.
All over that goddamn
From my viewing and seeing Mr. Robertson on the video, it's the same person.
Did you warn him?
What? No.
Did you warn him?
No.
That he knew you were going to betray him.
Oh shit, they're going for the staircases.
That does it. Now we got 4 floors to keep track of. And do you believe you recognize who that person is?
Son of a bitch,
Yes.
stay with him. This man disappears. It'll be 10 years before he surfaces again. Is the impression swing sealed off?
Completely.
Completely. There's no way to get it.
The gates are down. We get men on the roof.
Trying to put that painting back. Guarantee it won't be in that room.
All right, get after it.
Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Where you gonna run to? All on that day, we gotta run to the rock.
It's wild, man. Look at him. Look at the Thomas Crown affair. Look at the Tyler Robinson affair.
Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
Put the rock right out. I can hide you the rock right out.
What?
I can hide you the rock right out. I ain't gonna hide you down. All on that day, I said rock.
Mr. Robinson.
What's the matter with you, rock? Don't you see I need you, rock? Lord, Lord, Lord. All on that day, so I ran to the river. It was bleeding around to the sea. It was bleeding around to the sea.
And what do you
It was bleeding all on that day. So I ran to the river. It was falling around to the sea.
Yeah, I know. It's fun. Coming down.
It was falling around to the sea. It was falling all on
How they're
that
walking,
day.
their gait, whether or not they're wearing sunglasses, the shirt they're wearing. Okay? You just flood the region with a bunch of it. And this is just the script they ran. They ran the Thomas Crown affair. Okay? And who they is, it's not a lone gunman. It can't be. So this is it. This is how it was done. And it's wild.
That interesting. That's very interesting that lines up. Just a little fun we're having. We're just having a little fun, just showing stuff. Benjamin Owen Benjamin, follow him on X. He's a comedian. He does a really good job. But I mean, hey, pretty interesting, don't you think? Got something in my I had to blow my nose, pulling it together here. All right, so let's get into this. So Charlie Kirk, one of the things that I've realized is that, and for some that don't, for the people that don't like follow all day long what's going on, the politics and the all the different the propaganda and the and the truthers and all that stuff, you don't really get to see a lot of the stuff till you come to like a show, podcast, or whatever, and you kind of get little clips of different things going on, and I guess if you're mindful, you can kind of piece it together. You know what I mean? I guess for those that, maybe you're, thumbing through X or something, you run across to, something, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And you watch a 5-minute video or whatever, and you're like, oh, wow. And then, if you watch the same thing, or if you're watching the same kind of topics, it'll just keep feeding you the same crap. Just keeps giving you everything, right? The same thing over and over and over till you reset, kind of pull out, go back in, and pick another topic, and then you can find something else, right? Because it's algorithms, right? But when it came across my feed, and I was like, this chick, I'm not sure who she is exactly, but when she was talking about the witness, the Charlie Kirk witness, I was like, so there's these things that get like, you'll get a lot of propaganda, and every once in a while you get something that makes sense. At least I do. I mean, I get a lot. There's a lot of different clips that come through my feed that's just garbage. I'm glad they're not a bunch of blue-haired wackos. I'm glad that that's not happening. I better watch my mouth because it'll start happening. But when she was talking about this cop on the stand and where he came from, I'm like, so remember in this last thing in the compilation with Tucker, he talked about it a little bit, like the programming, and then Benjamin Owen talking about the movie, right? And on some level, this whole thing is like this production. It's like a production. All these different things are, especially voting. Voting is planned out years in advance. They know what they're going to do way before you even know who's on the ballot and all that stuff. It's all pre-programmed, everything. It's all scripted, I think. And so when she's talking about, I was like, very interesting that this cop that's on the stand is talking about, we showed it last week. Charlie Kirk shot. They're like Losi building. They go to the Losi building. His camera cuts off, right? 45 minutes in or whatever it is. Like 2 hours into his shift, his camera cuts off. They last 14 hours, by the way. And they flash and they warn you and they beep and they do all this stuff to let you know that the camera, or that your body camera is about to go off, like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, does that thing, right? Like, kind of like when you have your camera, right? Hey, your battery's going to die. Anyway, so he was, I guess because I think that they put the people in place that need to be there for the narrative. And there's apparently allegedly from this clip, from what she's saying, this guy's got some, how do you say it? Not so pleasant stuff in his past. And maybe he owed a debt. He's on the stand talking about all this stuff, and he can't recall, and he don't remember, and he's not sure, and I don't know where that's at, and all that stuff. Remember that guy? He just kept saying, I'm not sure where. I know there was a 556 or 223 found on the building, but I don't know what happened to it. Oh, I found a holster, but I didn't pick it up, and no, I didn't tell anybody about it. I just seen it. All that bullshit, right? So I think that's part of this whole movie, my opinion. And I know I'm a little conspiratorial right now, but there's a point I'm going to make here in a minute. Just watch this clip.
Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And just when you think this whole Charlie Kirk situation cannot get any weirder, the key witness, the first responder on the scene, who is a cop, if he made you feel some sort of way in the pretrial, congratulations, because it turns out he has killed somebody before, a young man, just 10 years before the whole Charlie Kirk thing went down. The more you look at how he handled the evidence and what he chose to report, the more you start to understand why people feel off about his involvement. He found an empty pistol holder on the ground near where Charlie Kirk was shot.
After a little bit, I saw an empty holster sitting there.
What happened to that holster?
I have no idea.
Did you ever take custody of it?
Nope.
Did you ever tell anyone else to take custody of it?
Nope.
So what do you do when you're on the scene of a shooting and you find a gun holster and you're the key investigator? Do you leave it? Do you log it anywhere? Of course not. In 2015, Bagley made another judgment call about a weapon. And it also went wrong in all the ways that affect people's lives permanently, including ending one of them. Same cop. Now we've got two bodies. So did this corrupt cop frame the Charlie Kirk murder? Wait till you see what we've found. Real quick, if you're new here, I'm Lauren Paritra. Stephen Miller has escaped his burrowed nest in the Turning Point USA headquarters frat house. Subscribing to this channel is a great way to stay safe. Finding us wherever you get your podcast, leaving us a 5-star rating or a comment here, 6 words or more. Every individual action you take to support this channel creates a protective layer around you and Stephen Miller, who's always lurking in the dark. Bagley was not new to these high-profile, very polarizing, controversial situations involving cops and death. Bagley was involved in another fatal police shooting. A 24-year-old named Cody Evans. The circumstances of that shooting were controversial enough that Evans' family hired a lawyer afterwards and demanded answers that to this day they never really got. Evans' wife called 911 and told dispatch that Evans had a BB gun and was allegedly trying to provoke police into shooting him. She made it very clear that this was fake. Bagley arrived at the scene knowing this information. They knew the gun was not real, and they shot Evans anyway. They shot him dead. 3 rounds fired from about 100 feet away. Evans' family rejected the police narrative. Guess what? There were no body cameras worn at all. Sound familiar?
Your body cam footage appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
You should notice something. When there's no footage of what happened, everything becomes what the officer decides to tell you it was because the other guy is dead.
Yeah. And so that is interesting. And when you piece this, or let me rephrase that. When I piece this stuff together, I'm like, do you believe in consequences? That's the first place I go. I don't believe in consequences. I believe that everything has a place. Okay. And in this situation, he said a lot of things that day that didn't make sense. Like, oh yeah, I believe that there was a 223 live round found on the Browning building or whatever it was called. I'm not sure. And do you know where it went? I don't. And he's like, and she's like, a holster? Oh yeah, there was but I don't know where it went. Like, if you're an investigator, everything is bagged. Everything. I mean, a piece of paper's bagged. You know, I mean, they bag everybody out. Nobody moved. Don't touch nothing. This whole area is ours. We're taking over, and we're yellow taping everything, and we're keeping everybody out. And we have guards standing, standing point to make sure nobody comes in the perimeter and all that stuff. And everything, or however, whatever that area is, however big the area is bagged and tagged. That's how it's done. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be done. But this whole thing seems fishy. And, when you think about Lance Twiggs and you think about Tyler Robinson and you think about this whole thing, the George Zen, all these different things going on. I got this one where this guy, a YouTuber, says, oh yeah, it sounds like firecrackers. Thought it was a 30-06 from 140 yards. Firecracker? No. 30-06 is very distinct. Even a 223, very distinct. I mean, unless it's like a little tiny, or it's up in the air. That's why I'm saying my theory is becoming more and more legitimate to me, because of the things that people are saying. Let me roll this clip real quick. It's a short clip of this YouTuber that was at UVU. Stand by. This is from the day.
Okay, so this is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen, right? So I'm at the Charlie Kirk event, which is here at Utah Valley University. And as soon as the event gets started, and he was maybe on like the first, second person or whatever. And what I thought I heard was fireworks, like firecrackers or something like that. And then everybody just starts freaking out, ducking and running, trying to get down, take cover, get through the doors. Turns out Charlie Kirk got shot. Yes, Charlie Kirk got shot. There's multiple people that were telling me how they saw like he was shot like around this area and like blood was like oozing out of that area and stuff. Dude, that's absolutely insane. But no more shots were fired after that. Like they shot Charlie Kirk and just completely stopped. I don't know what the hell's going on because, you know, there should be, you know, more police and stuff like that. This is a massive event at Utah Valley University. There's tons of people and there's terrible policing, which is insane, you know, because you never know. There might be some crazy ass person out there with a gun and look what happened today. So, see, look at this. You hear the police sirens, everything. Dude, that is scary. I've never had anything like that happen. And, you know, let me tell you, man, just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean you should try to take their life, man. That's messed up, you know? Like, you know, I'm not even a fan of Charlie Kirk. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, and I think he's a shill. But, dude, that's so wrong still. Like, why would somebody try to take another person's life just because they disagree? I don't know, dude. At the end of the day, man, just don't take your life for granted. Hopefully he's okay, man. I really, really hope Charlie Kirk is okay, regardless of our differences in opinion, man. I hope he has a fast recovery. I hope he's not, you know, I hope he's still alive. So sad to see, man. Sad to see.
Yeah, and so that becomes more and more relevant when we listen to all this other stuff going on around, you know, the cops and the Lance Twiggs thing and the, you know, all this stuff. The way he said sounded like firecrackers. It's the second person or maybe third person that I've heard in an interview or, you know, a video, I should say, where they were like, it sounded like firecrackers or fireworks or whatever like that. You know, the firecrackers is a distinct sound, kind of dull. It's not really strong. A weapon has a different sound to it, you know. So, and you know, maybe he don't know nothing about firearms, and we'll give that a benefit of the doubt for that piece. But like, this is like the kind of things that I bet you that dude was never interviewed. So many people were never interviewed. You know, George Zen, I shot him. It's just the whole shit thing. The whole thing is just crazy. Anyway, I got another one. This is how we know that Tyler Robinson was set up straight out of Lance Twiggs' mouth. Stand by.
The only real witness in this entire, like, holding this whole case together. It doesn't really sound like either of you gave a fuck. It doesn't sound like either of you were that interested in politics at all, let alone Charlie Kirk.
What about Charlie Kirk? Did you ever talk about Charlie Kirk? I personally had never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk before.
The fuck are you talking about? You personally, never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk. Is the lawyer going to say, hey, then why did he want to off him? Why did he want to unalive him? Did you talk about Charlie Kirk? Oh, no, that's right. You already said you don't care about politics. So what the fuck are we talking about?
Or specifically. Okay. How about political issues? So did you ever talk about gender identity issues and LGBTQ rights?
Oh, there's the big one. All right, they didn't talk about Charlie, but this is the main motive. This is it. This is it. We're all in right now. We are all in right now because this is the reason that they're saying that Tyler Robinson unalived Charlie Kirk. For this reason, for this cause, for this person.
No, not really.
No, not really. Makes no sense. Remember right away, and still you have all the the MAGA saying that it was a trans kid that killed Charlie and all that stuff, and and we did see a whole media like going off. All the liberals or the blue-haired people were going off saying that they're how glad they were that Charlie was dead, and a bunch of them saying that he was going to be killed and all that stuff the day before. But you're telling me that Lance Twiggs or Tyler Robinson never talked about how he hated Charlie Kirk, but the letter, the AI letter or the ChatGPT letter sure did sound like he knew all about this topic, right? So it's just this stuff just keeps, keeps adding up. Now, it just does. It just doesn't. None of it makes sense to me. This whole narrative, I should say, doesn't make sense to me. Now, this is a little conspiratorial, this clip, but you got to watch what they're doing in the background. Like, pay attention to. You got to look at the video really close to see what's going on. I couldn't really pick it out at first. I had to watch the clip a few times, but Blake Neff is like doing signals or something. You got Mikey McCoy with his phone videotaping the back of Charlie while Charlie's walking into the event, and Blake Neff is like doing signals. I'm like, is he or is he just is he not doing signals? Because apparently the Dan Flood was not doing signals. He was just straightening his shirt out or something. I don't know. Remember that? They said what's his name? Brian Harple was saying that on Sean Ryan right after the shooting, because they went on a media tour right away to set the record straight about this whole thing. Said that they don't use signals, but there were signals, right? Anybody that's ever played baseball or anybody that's ever been in the military or anybody that when you don't have comms or your comms don't work, you use signals so that you can communicate with your team. Anyway, what do I know? I'm just a podcaster. Stand by. It's hard to see because it's blurry. Let's do the Bobby Sauce video.
People watching the Tyler Robinson trial could really learn a lot from the trial of Karen Reed. If you don't know about this trial, I highly suggest that you look it up. But in the end, she actually ended up being exonerated and proven not guilty. Because the most crucial piece of evidence in the Karen Reed trial was one specific hard piece of evidence that was found on the scene that was the linchpin for the entire case and basically the crux of the entire argument against Karen Reed. And that crucial piece of evidence was the shattered taillight on the back of her Lexus SUV. Because aside from the remaining ancillary, sketchy, and suspicious pieces that tied Karen Reed to this supposed murder, this taillight was the most crucial piece of evidence. Because absent the shattered taillight, there would have likely been almost no probable cause at all. The entire case essentially consisted of taking all of the other pieces that maybe made sense if they connected it to their story, but all focusing on this crucial piece of hard evidence on the scene, which was the shattered taillight. There was a reasonable case to be made for anybody that watched the Karen Read trial to believe that the shattered pieces of the taillight were placed there, aka planted there, by the Boston Police Department or the local PD after the scene, after the investigation area was not secured and they mysteriously appeared days later. But the reason why I bring this up as it relates to the Tyler Robinson case is this one very specific thing, because any person that watched the Karen Read trial and watched this said, yeah, if they planted that taillight, then it completely shatters, for lack of a better word, every other part of this entire investigation, and all of the other sketchy pieces that supposedly connect the dots and make sense don't make sense absent this shattered taillight. The shattered taillight in the Tyler Robinson case, as it stands presently, is the screwdriver on the roof. The only physical, tangible piece of hard evidence that definitively traces Tyler Robinson to the UVU rooftop. In the event that that piece of evidence was not placed there by Tyler Robinson, there is no other definitive proof, as it states right now, that he was ever on that rooftop. And of course, as I've said in many times, more information will certainly come out, and I hope that it's an ironclad, open and shut case. But as it stands presently, to not question the remaining of all the sketchy details that surround this case, with this single screwdriver being the linchpin of all of it, and the discovery of this screwdriver being on a body cam footage that was the most crucial piece of evidence, mysteriously dying 2 hours into a shift when it has a 14-hour charge, makes no sense as it stands right now. And I will be the first person to admit that I was wrong about all this if more definitive evidence comes out in the future, and I certainly hope for that. But if this one piece of hard evidence has more than one piece of DNA on it, then how crucial even is it? As it presently stands, it's a link, and a weak one at that. So respectfully, absolutely miss us with the idea that this is completely ironclad, open and shut, definitively Tyler Robinson, and there's no questions otherwise. Because as it presently sits for the rational and critical mind, that is not a certainty yet.
Yeah, and so Bobby Sauce, check him out on X. Another comic, very good. It's got a lot of good commentary about different things. Check him out. There's more DNA on the screwdriver of Lance Twiggs than there was of Tyler Robinson. Let that sink in, including on the trigger housing of the gun. There's more of Lance Twiggs' DNA on it than Tyler Robinson's. And other items that they've, I don't know what the items are. I missed that part, but it's just not. It's just they gave him immunity. I think it's called they didn't give him full immunity, but they gave him partial immunity for his testimony. I don't know. Anyway, let's just keep going. It gets a little bit better here. Footage of the Losi Center. And so when and I played a different version of this last week when all the MAGA people came out and says definitively, we got him, seen him take the shot and all this, which were, by the way, false, not true, not even close. There was no new footage at all, period, at all. But check this out. This is from the courthouse. Stand by.
There was a third leak in the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing, and this is going to blow back on a lot of the people that have been propagandizing that video, saying that it was crazy and it showed like insane detail and all that stuff. So this right here is the original. Okay, this is not the third leak. We'll get to the third leak here as quickly as possible. I want to play this, and I want you guys to notice this structure up here in the top left, in the top right hand corner. You see that structure right there? Okay, this is the video.
And Mr. Robinson is appearing on the exterior staircase, which gives access.
Okay, now you see this one? You see this in the top left? Okay, this is the video that Exhibit 12.1, the one that everybody got to see except the public, everybody in the courtroom got to see except the public. And there's been like this crazy like outrage, not outrage, but this crazy like, I don't know what you would call it, but everybody's like, it was the worst thing I've ever seen. Guys, this has been out there forever. Anybody with half a brain and any type of video editing would have been able to duplicate the video. There is no enhancements. There's nothing crazy about it. And I'm going to show you guys. So this was day 2 of the Charlie Kirk assassination trial. This was at 54:13. Let's go to this one at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 9 seconds. And I want to show you guys, they're about to show exhibit 12.1. It wasn't the first time when the public saw it, the people in the courtroom saw it. The first time that the enhanced version was played was specifically for the judge and the witness only. However, in the fashion of the state, they left their computer open again. And you can now see this video that Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, Officer Tatum, all these people are freaking out over. You can see that it's nothing. It is absolutely nothing. Brandy Siciliano was correct.
Just the difficulty in doing that is because we've zoomed in. It's removed the timestamp on it.
Well, you can just give me the count. The count on the bottom. There's a timer at the bottom of the total length of the video. So that's fine. I'm just trying to create a record of what exactly I'm looking at.
Okay, so we're going to pause there. I'm going to zoom in for you guys so you can see that computer monitor there. And let's keep going. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because it's a static screen. But remember, I told you to look at the top left, or excuse me, the top right of that one image. That's the top right there. You guys can make the comparisons for yourselves. But remember, when it switches screens, you were looking at the top left. Okay, now you can see that this is the top right quadrant that you would be looking at when the camera moved to where Robinson jumps off, allegedly Robinson jumps off the roof. Now, you can't see this here because it's a little difficult. I'll zoom in as much as I can so you guys can see. But the clear identifying image of Tyler Robinson, you're going to see it on this screen. And again, this is at 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 27 seconds on Court TV's day 2 of the trial. Okay, so you're going to see here. Correction, it's 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 30 seconds. He's running across now. I don't know if you can see it because all he is a pixel. That's all he is a pixel. He's running across right now. Watch. That's it. That's the enhanced version that everybody wants to condemn this guy on. Again, I'm not saying one way or the other here. I am not saying one way or the other here. But that's the enhanced photo that everybody has seen in the courtroom. That's it. It was leaked by the state. It was on one of the state attorney's computers during the trial. And the only reason I caught it is because I thought it was showed to everybody, and I went back to check, and I just happened to see it. Now, just to show you the propaganda campaign around this. Okay, now I hate calling people out. I really do. But I want to show you guys what Officer Tatum, who saw the video, was in the courtroom. And this is the thumbnail for his YouTube video about what he saw. And tell me if you think that's an accurate representation. Tell me if that's an accurate representation. Tatum with this bewildered look on his face, horrifyingly sad, this zoomed in. I mean, I can see the rifle. I can see the bipods. I can see the hat. I can see everything. That is not at all what was presented in this video. That is a gross misrepresentation. Just thought you guys should know that. Follow me, rumble.com/CanCon, badlandsmedia.tv.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's CanCon. Check him out on Rumble and X. But you know, why? It's a question. Why? Okay, so let me back up for a second. Do you remember in 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and 2022, Jack Posobiec, Steve Bannon, Benny Johnson, and all those people talking about election integrity and, we got to tell the truth and all these people are liars and I can't believe that that they're lying to our face and all this stuff, right? Remember that? Like, I remember it clearly that all of them were going on Steve Bannon's show and they were going on all these other programs and they were talking about all this stuff about how the Democrats lie and they gaslight you and propaganda and all that stuff, and they're doing the exact thing that they accused everybody else of doing. That shit pisses me off because I bought into that. I really did. I thought that they were up. I thought Jack Posobiec was like a fucking military, special forces, was in the military and he was, speaks Mandarin and he's got all these great qualities and he's just like America first, badass, and he's fucking lying to you. That makes me upset. That pisses me off that somebody that is out here saying that's what gives the conservatives or the, whatever you want to call it, Republicans, whatever you want. I don't call myself Republican, but MAGA, America First, gives us a bad name when they do that shit in our honor because we are the party. And I get it. He's media and he's probably paid by TAPUSA and all these dudes at Brandon Tatum and all these dudes, they're all getting paid from the, to push this narrative, and all this stuff. Charlie Kirk, which I didn't know, and I didn't follow him. I wasn't a Charlie Kirk follower. I didn't watch his show. Every now and then I'd catch a clip or something, but I wasn't into, I'm an info warrior. Okay. So I'm getting news today that they're going to be talking about in 6 weeks. Okay. But the point is Charlie Kirk, from what I've learned about who he is turning in his grave about the way these people are representing his death. And it's not right. It's period. It's not right. It's uncalled for. All of them. It's absolutely uncalled for. So, yeah, dude, it's just bullshit. That's fucking ridiculous. What the fuck? Okay, I gotta pull it. Gotta stop cussing. I apologize. I want this to be a family show tonight. It's not very family friendly. Okay, I'll clean up my language. Okay. Okay. So there's been all this talk about and I've talked about how I believe that Charlie was shot twice. Once back here behind the ear, and it came out here. That's an exit wound. That is an exit wound. It's an exit wound, okay? And he was shot in the chest from a palm pistol. The theory is, it looks very clear to me. I'm no ballistics expert, but I have some video that I'm going to show you right now, and if you look at it close, you can see the setup and the shot. I hadn't seen this setup before, where he's literally under his arm before he goes like this and pulls does the trigger thing. Okay, so I don't know how that operation exactly works. I haven't done extensive research. I guess I should, and I think I will. But let's look at. You gotta pay attention to the screen. Watch what I'm doing here. If you're working in the garage or something, just pause for a second and pay attention to the screen. I know a lot of people like me. I'll be doing 10 things while I'm listening to the show, whatever show I'm watching, listening to information. But just for a second, watch this. Okay, it's 2 videos. I want to play them together. I want to play them back to back. This has no sound. See his hand underneath. See his hand underneath. His hands underneath.
Great. Great.
Look right here.
Great. Great.
I'm gonna play that again for you.
Great. 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 Great.
All right, so I'm tempted to pull this. Let me see where's that. I'm gonna look for something real quick in this video. Hold on a second. Stand by. See if I can locate it here real quick. Hold on, I'm trying to find something here. I'm not playing video games. I'm just looking for something.
For the microphone, and he turns and he takes his shot with the recoil that comes from his hand from his palm pistol.
I'm going to show you this. I know I showed it last week, but it's relevant to what we just watched. Check this out. I'm going to try and
Phone, and he turns and he takes his shot with the recoil that comes from his hand from his palm pistol.
see the hand.
I don't approve that he's condoning someone who's
His palm pistol.
Looking for something.
You want to see it closer? No problem. It's right there.
Here.
Closer? All right. No problem. 1, 2. 1,
Watch this.
2. It's that simple.
Watch
Want to see
this.
it closer? All right. No problem. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. You want to see it closer? No problem. It's right there. Do I have to do anything
there.
else to show you that he was shot twice?
Got
If I do,
back here,
head on over to
out here.
Charlie Kirk, Operation 322. At least watch part 4. So that's it. Follow me on X. We are not GTM. It means we are not going to Mars. Thanks.
Yeah. So, and I know I've shown you that a few different times, but I just wanted you to see that because the palm pistol is relevant in this for the second shot. Now, is there a possibility that the road mic was on his chest and it exploded, and that's the fragments that they found in the SUV? Very possible. I think the reason why they covered up the area 10 inches of soil was because they were trying to hide the bullet from the drone that shot Charlie in the neck from back here, back of the neck, because it came out here. That's an exit wound. You ask anybody that is a ballistics expert, they'll tell you that that was not an entry wound. That is not how it happens. The only other possible way is if it was a cut and it cut the jugular, and it just, unless it was a cut and it caused his jugular to open up and the blood came out like that. That's the only other way. But in that, you go back to my show last week, actually, go to, hold on, give me a second, and I'll tell you exactly what it is so you can see. Go to Charlie, go to episode 276 CK segment, and it's the whole thing. I broke down the whole shooting from beginning to end, the drone, the shot in the chest, the whole thing. I broke it down, and it's very clear that you could see all of it. You could see the blood coming off the back of his neck or the back of his head, all of it. It's all there. If you didn't see it, go check it out, because that is really what happened. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this because I've already kind of beat it to death. But let's look at this, okay? So military operation. So a coordinated military operation, okay? This is the last part of the Charlie Kirk assassination part, I think. You know, we're going to get into some other stuff with Charlie Kirk, Lance Twiggs and stuff, but for this, just I was told that I need to look at this again, because I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it looks like they're doing a handoff. It does look like that, but then, you know, what was he handing him keys so he could get the car ready? I mean, what's going on here? And then he was like, hey, it's the brown shirt dude handing him something. He jumps over the table, the dude with the brown shirt, the palm pistol dude, hands him something, and he jumps over the table, goes around, they have a contact, and then the guy in the blue shirt takes off to the car or wherever he's going, behind the screen. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I need to step back a little bit and look at the picture bigger. So I did, and I'm like, oh, so did he hand him off the gun? Did he, I mean, what did he hand off to him? What was the transaction? Because at first I was like, the dude in the blue shirt jumped over the table, grabbed something off the table or off of Charlie or something, and handed it to the brown shirt dude or something. And then my dude was like, no, it's the other way around. The dude in the brown shirt handed the dude in the blue off something. I'm like, well, that's the dude that shot Charlie in the chest. and it all started to come alive for me. That was way back when. I was like, oh, okay, got it. That was when I thought that it was just a palm pistol, and I couldn't make heads or tails of like how come he had the blood coming out the front and all that stuff, and then everybody was doing the 30-06s and all that stuff. And then it made sense to me when Ty showed that video that I just showed you right now of the 30-06 or scratch that. The shot from behind from the drone, and you know the what's it called? The drone company, Ebbet, something like that. I'll look it up for the next show, and I'll bring that to you. I'll bring that to the next show. The name of the company that, and by the way, remember this. I know you remember this. The drone company and the chemical plant that makes the explosives for the road mic blew up like a week or two after, or a couple, 2-3, however, whatever time it was, 2 or 3 weeks, month, whatever, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, when people started getting the road mic theory going, it blew up, killed 16 people in Tennessee. Remember that? All that's relevant, okay? But anyway, let's get to this. Stand by. Right there. Handoff. question. Let me back this up for a minute. Let me ask a question. I'm going to back it up first. Get me on the screen here. Hold on a second. Did you see any of the security? Was there 6, 7 dudes there? Did any of them pull their weapon? Any of them? I didn't see anybody pull their weapon. Not one person pulled their weapon. There was just a shooting. What's the job of security? To secure the person that you're running security for, right? Everybody's weapon should have been out, except for maybe the dude that's got him on the ground that, is supposedly packing, making sure they didn't bleed death, right? One more time. I'm going to play half of it. I'm not going to play the whole thing, though. Like I always say, you be the judge, okay? You make your own judgment on that, okay? Now, yeah, you be the judge. You be the judge. I'm going to take a quick break and run this clip before we get into the Lance Twiggs stuff. Did you know that Bill Gates funded Lance Twiggs? Did you know that? But before we do that, we're going to play this. We're going to play this John Bowne report. Stand by.
I want to taper off the military aid within the next 10 years.
You want to taper it off to zero within 10 years?
Yes.
That would be a very dramatic shift.
Well, it's in the works.
So I talked to Bibi just a few minutes ago, and I said, what would you like me to say? He said, Israel's not going to live this way anymore. They're not going to live under threat from Iran anymore.
Netanyahu went on Fox to eulogize Graham and said, don't worry, we don't need your money anymore. We have a new plan. Yeah, to merge with our military and say you co-own all of our weapon systems and the $1 trillion of U.S. weapon sales every year.
The last conversation I had with him, I said, Lindsay, we've come of age. We have a robust economy. We can take care of our.
We run your
own,
Congress now, and
financing our
we're
own
taking over.
weapons for the defense of Israel and defense of our common interests with America. So I'm going to phase out the support, the military support for Israel over a period of years and bring it down to zero. We can do it. And he went ballistic. He said, no way, you can't do that, because he was so concerned with our security, which he believed was your security, that he actually fought the Prime Minister of Israel on keeping America's aid or actually increasing it. And that tells you what kind of a person this extraordinary friend was.
The boldness, the arrogance of this. And again, I don't want to get rid of Israel. I don't want a river to the sea. I don't support the Islamicists, but I cannot support Israel primarying our leaders.
We know why young people are, and middle-aged people are against the next war, because we'd be the ones fighting it. They're trying to bring back the draft. Screw that. We're not going to fight. We're not going to fight some other country's wars, are we?
I cannot support Israel openly bragging they basically control our foreign policy and now want domestic control. And 38 states have passed laws that if you criticize Israel, you can't have a government contract or a state job. And if you do get a job, it's a felony in Texas and a bunch of other states. The laws vary, but 38 have the laws. I mean, this is un-American stuff.
The ambassador, who's also a Republican, said, well, you might say that America made Israel, let Israel survive, but it's Jews who created America. And he goes through you know, how much of America was based on the Torah, how the original symbol of the United States proposed by Benjamin Franklin was Moses parting the sea, that, you know, many of the original symbols of America come from the Bible. And there are many references to the Bible in the early writings of American patriots. I quote some of them in my book.
Israel gives us as much as we give them. And a lot of Americans never fully understand that.
This is social credit score stuff. When the Democrats do it, I'm against it. When the EU does it, when the UK does it, when Brazil does it, I'm against it. And I'm against it when Republicans are doing this. It's unbelievable. The Defense Authorization Act 2027 now passed out of committee in the full House. It looks like Israel may get its merger, lifetime fusion, integration, these are all terms, marriage with the U.S. military and intelligence. They got an intelligence bill, does the same thing with Senator Cotton. Unbelievable. Will the Senate sign up this special office that merges everything from research and development right down to battlefield, right down to telemetry, and they co-own our military equipment and sales of it around the world, $1 trillion of it a year? Man, that is bold. And now it's passed out of both committees and is in the full House, and they got the votes. I want to thank the viewers and listeners.
It's crazy. That is wild. You know, that's what's going on. You know, it is. It's just crazy, you know. And Lindsey, hey. And Lindsey Graham was Lucy, stop. Lucy, lay down. My dog's going crazy. And Lindsey Graham was, you know, Israel first all the time. So, I mean, anyway. So what was I talking about? I was talking about Lance Twiggs being funded by Bill Gates. This report is, you know, it's a small video, but it's worth the watch. Check this out. It's crazy. Okay. Like, you know, the things that you find out by just doing a little bit of research will blow your mind. Stand by.
You will never believe who funded Lance Twiggs High School. None other than the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's right, Success Academy, formerly known as Dixie Success Academy, where Lance Twiggs attended, was funded by Bill and Melinda Gates. In fact, they actually provided the seed money, which is interesting because right before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he was going on his show calling for the release of the Epstein files and saying things like this. Bill Gates was meeting with Epstein years after he was a convicted sex offender. He called it a huge mistake. Why? Why was the world's richest philanthropist sitting down with a pedophile? This isn't about saving lives. This is about power and influence and something much darker. Gates says it was just a mistake. Really? Multiple meetings, flights, dinners after Epstein was already convicted? The same Bill Gates who wants to vaccinate the planet and track everyone with digital IDs. You can't tell me there's no connection here. The Epstein files are the key. When are we going to see the full list? Bill Gates was in those circles. He admitted to the meetings. Why is no one asking the hard questions about what Gates was really doing with Epstein? But Charlie was calling out Bill Gates' connection with Epstein years before 2025, tweeting in 2023, Jeffrey Epstein threatened to expose Bill Gates' 2010 affair with a Russian bridge player if he didn't participate in a $1 billion charitable fund, according to a new bombshell report. Couldn't happen to a nicer man. And of course, after Charlie was assassinated and the Epstein files were released, that turned out to be true. Remember the STD that Bill Gates got from the Russian girls? And weirdly, she's now worth billions. Now, what does this have to do with Lance Twiggs? Well, he was described as an advanced student at this Bill Gates funded school who was taking multiple college classes while he was in attendance. We know going back at least 10 years, there's tons of articles about why Mormons make great FBI recruits. And we know that Lance and his family are devout LDS. Is it possible that this school was a feeder school for intelligence? I mean, after all, Lance Twiggs did get limited immunity from the FBI. And it seems that if you wanted to tie up all of the loose ends with this Epstein stuff, you better be providing the best and the brightest. So could that have been Lance to help carry out the largest assassination of our time? And is it possible that all roads lead back to these Epstein files? And did Charlie just know too much? As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Yeah, you got to check her out for sure. She's got some good reports as well. I can't remember her name though. Unfortunately, I forgot to write it down this time. I usually write them down so I can call them out when I do that. So I owe her one right now. So real quick, is it possible that allegedly Lance Twiggs was part of this operation in a way that, and this is the way it's starting to look more and more like, for sure Tyler Robinson was set up. We've shown you that up to this point, but Lance Twiggs was the handler for this, because remember, right after Tyler Robinson went to jail, Lance Twiggs vanished for like 6 or 8 months, couldn't be found anywhere. And now they did a video interview with him from somewhere. I think he's in Texas or something. And he didn't have to come in for the preliminary hearing, which is odd. And is it possible that this whole thing that's going on right now is Lance setting up his lover to take the fall as a patsy for this whole operation? Because we know that part of the operation is to put somebody else in the limelight and them take the fall for the operation that is, whoever, if it's Mossad or Israel or CIA or whoever it is, right? Just something to think about for sure. Something to think about. Okay. I want to cover this real quick. Put a pin in that. We'll get back to that in the days to come, because we're not done with Lance Twiggs for sure. I'm going to do some research on Lance Twiggs in the next few days, and we'll be back on that later. This is a Atlanta AP report. Lettuce supplied to Taco Bell in 5 states confirmed as a source of diarrhea-causing parasites. Need to get some zeolite right away, right? Matter of fact, if you don't know, if you're new, if you just got here, and in the description, at the top of the description, there is a thing for Masterpiece. Get Masterpiece. It's a zeolite, which is takes toxins out of your system, including fluorides and all that stuff. It's less than $1. It's $1 a day. Okay, this is a 2-month bottle, 5 drops twice a day, and it'll clear up your skin, help you have dreams again. It'll help you with clarity, mind. It gets rid of all that fluoride that you've been drinking, water that's full of toxic chemicals, and the food that you eat. If you eat at Taco Bell, you need zeolite. You need to go get some right away. But you can go on there. It's definitely something that I'm raving about right now. Check it out in the description. Anyway, Atlanta AP federal health officials have identified lettuce from Mexico served at Taco Bell locations across 5 U.S. states as a source of widespread outbreak of diarrhea-causing parasite Psychophoria. Sporia. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention late Thursday warned consumers to not eat shredded iceberg lettuce from Taco Bell restaurants in Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. So does that mean that all the people that live in West Virginia that work at the work and the government is eating this stuff and they're all shitting their pants and they have parasites? Probably. A record number of cycloporia causes the cases have been reported in more than 30 states, and experts have said not every recent U.S. illness might be caused by a single source. So this is a pretty interesting report about lettuce from Taco Bell. If you're eating Taco Bell, you need zeolite. The reason why I brought this is because a lot of people eat fast food, and there's been lots and lots of different things with lettuce, especially from coming from Mexico. I don't know what that's about, but don't eat lettuce, shredded lettuce from Taco Bell. Okay, that report is on AP, Atlanta AP. If you want to read that the full thing, check that out. We'll save this for later. Oh, I have another report. Iceberg lettuce, Taco Bell linked to Xylophoria sporia, outbreak in 5 states. It's the same thing, but see if there's anything new here in this report. Health officials analyzed 190 cases in Michigan where a person who fell ill reportedly after eating Taco Bell. Officials said 90% of those people said they ate iceberg lettuce. More than 1,644 sick people in the mid-state outbreak reports eating Taco Bell in those states May 13th, according to agencies. There have been 94 hospitalizations, no deaths reported. So, iceberg lettuce at Taco Bell. Probably want to get some zeolite. If you eat Taco Bell, you probably want to get some zeolite. Let me tell you about this. It also, I used to not dream at all, and now I have vivid dreams. It's badass. You gotta check it out. It's in the description. If you're not on Rumble or Getter or YouTube, you want to go to one of my channels there to get the description, to check out the description. I haven't been able to get it on the other ones yet, but maybe that's something I'll work on. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit, election integrity. But for right now, I want to get into this TPUSA stuff. Now, I don't know if, because I've heard a lot of stories, but I'm like, it's a Christian group. They're not having strip parties. They're a Christian group. Come to find out, they are little promiscuous, we'll say. We'll say it like that. Just a little, allegedly promiscuous. We play this report from Ian Winston, Ian Winst and Winster. And let me play this report. I have 2 of them back to back, but this first one's very interesting because it involves James O'Keefe and strip clubs after a TPUSA function. Stand by.
Bet you didn't see this. You're probably wondering why I'm showing that video. Well, it's because I need to prove a point, and that is that video is from a Turning Point party, an after party that was held after AmFest, America Fest, back in 2024. And for those of you who are going to try and come at me and say that I wasn't there, and I'm just, not only was I there, it was the one and only year that we decided that we would have a booth there for Official Patriot gear and that I would attend because I had turned down every single offer up until then. And the main reason why is because I actually saw the passion that Charlie had in really trying to actually make a difference in this country. Like, I genuinely saw that passion in him. And I also saw that he started to question things and that he started to be not so biased and not so, MAGA this, MAGA that. And so I said, sure, I'll come. And I did. And not only did I have a booth for my business Official Patriot gear, I was a special VIP guest, not only at AmFest, but also at this after party. Now, you can imagine what I was thinking when I saw that. I was like, Christian conservative company and movement. Now, granted, people have their agency. They can do what they want. I'm not here to judge people that drink or party or hang out or whatever. And so at the time I was like, whatever. But at the same time, I was kind of like, that's weird given everything that these people talk about. Right. And so as you continue to hear more and more come out about TPUSA, just understand that this is not a one-off thing. Okay. This experience that I had is not just a one-off thing. This is how the culture is there. Watch this.
My name is Joshua Peterson. I'm a former representative for Turning Point USA, and I have a story to tell about when I was at training. After the first few days, we were told that we were going to have some group time. And the first thing that I thought about that was that's going to be awesome. We get a group bond and stuff like that. However, this was not the case. I get paired up with these two specific people who I cannot name currently, but they take us out. And the first thing that I found very odd about, this Christian conservative company is they rented 2 stripper vans to take us out to the city. There were stripper poles inside the vans. Very odd, very unlike, their values, but okay. And then once we got down to the bars in Arizona, they started getting us drunk. The former reps were, and very drunk at that.
You guys also know how I like to keep my receipts. And of course, since I started posting about my, Turning Point insiders, I've had lots of people that have accused me of texting myself or, lying about having any kind of real insiders. But see, here's the thing. The reason why I have those insiders is literally because of this one time that I attended this event, AmFest, and the one time that I gave Turning Point a chance. Because see, here's the thing. When you're consistent in your messaging, people know what to expect from you. And so these people that invited me to this event did not invite me thinking that I was some kind of like crazy, MAGA nut. Okay. They knew where I stood. They knew that I was absolutely not right, not left, very nonpartisan, and that my brand literally stood for that. And see, here's the thing too. At that time, that's what Charlie stood for. That's what the whole organization supposedly stood for. And so they invited me. And also because of that, I was able to form some relationships with people, both lower level and very high level. And those people, when everything went down with Charlie Kirk, all of those people who actually stood for what the company was supposed to stand for, which was nonpartisan patriotism and freedom and just, freedom of speech and listening and not just cucking for a foreign lobby, okay? And being involved in all kinds of corruption. Yeah, when that company decided to flip the tables on that, all of these people, all of these good people, they're the ones that reached out to me. They're the ones that fed me information from the very beginning. And wouldn't you know it, as I've been talking about this trial and as more and more has come out about TPUSA, they continue to reach out to me. And I've gotten messages like this. Now, before we read this, remember the post that I made a couple days ago. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. But it was basically my insider reaching out and telling me that allegedly they are starting to pay schools to start chapters, $1,000 a piece for just forming a chapter or saying that they formed a chapter, which kind of seems like they're offloading a lot of money, which kind of seems like money laundering. But who knows? Update I got anyway, today, if you haven't heard this, that insider reached out. They are now doing TPUSA communities. Read with me, which is basically chapters for non-students, just random adults, which goes against the entire concept of what TPUSA was supposed to be under Charlie. I don't think there's a link for it on the main website page yet, but you can see it if you go to tpusa.com/communities. It's 100% real. In my personal opinion, which I think you will agree with, this is just a way for them to report having even more chapters that I'm sure are totally real. And it's just a funneling system to get more people to register to vote Republican. But in addition to this, another one of my insiders the TPUSA is shilling out more money to chapters. With me. I was on the TPUSA Young Professionals Board in New York, quit in blanked out for obvious reasons, still on the group WhatsApp. They recently told us they now can get reimbursed for social events, which is insane because they never have invested anything in the YP chapters. I'll find the screenshot and send it if you block names out and everything. So here's what she sent me. So you know that audio that's going around where it's like, next time you ask whether or not your government would do that, yes, they absolutely will. Well, just apply that to TPUSA, because next time you ask, would TPUSA be capable of X? The answer is yes, because they are absolutely not who they seem. They are not who they say they are. And they have become the complete opposite of everything that Charlie stood for. And that has been confirmed by multiple sources within the organization. And I'd be willing to bet that there's people watching this right now that have also left TPUSA that are agreeing with every single thing I'm saying right now. Sure seems like TPUSA has been completely co-opted. And it sure seems like as the heat continues to grow hot,
I'm trying to get my sound up. I don't know what happened, so stand by. Sound check. Sound check. Oh, shit. No, no, no. All right. I don't know what happened. I lost sound though. I lost my whole system there for a minute, but I'm back. I don't know if you caught this one, so I'm gonna replay this one right here. Stand by.
Bet you didn't see this. So after the last video I put out about Charlie Kirk and the camera angle that was shown, that is pretty clear evidence that it wasn't a gunshot and that it was an exploding mic. After that came out, my Turning Point insider reached out to me again and sent me this message. Hey man, this was really random, but I just heard from someone working at TPUSA that they think they are trying to offload money now. Apparently they're offering chapters and new ones that sign up $1,000 a month. They said they have never done anything like this before, and that people who have been 100% Team TPUSA 2.0 have said it seems super shady and they aren't sure what's going on. But that's everyone's job right now, is to basically give away as much money as they can. Not sure what that's all about, or if you've heard that one yet. So what's crazy about this text message is that I have heard about this happening. And there's even more to this than just that. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this lady she's actually been working to expose the fact that so many of these high school chapters for Turning Point are actually completely fake, or they never existed in the first place.
Point USA says it's building a movement of students, a movement of ideas, a movement that spans thousands of campuses across the United States.
The goal is for these clubs to be in every high school across the state.
In its own filings, the organization claims to operate more than 1,800 campus chapters and to be active on more than 3,000 high school and college campuses.
Put your hand up if you're in high school.
What if the numbers don't mean what they actually seem to mean? What if the chapter isn't what you think it is? What if the movement isn't actually there?
So all these chapters that Erica Kirk and that Turning Point have been talking about having, right? How they've talked about having hundreds of chapters all over the country and blah, blah, blah. So many of these chapters aren't even legit.
Hi, Elizabeth. This is Jessica. I'm the president at high school. You had reached out to Maggie, our director of student activities, and she forwarded us your email with some questions about having a Turning Point chapter on our campus. We do not currently host a Turning Point chapter on our campus, although I know it
oh my God.
lists us on their website. But if you want to give us a call back to have further conversation, we absolutely can.
School by school, we began working through the list, reaching out to administrators, student activity offices, and faculty advisors. And we just asked one simple question: whether there was an active Turning Point chapter on their campus. Some described the clubs had gone inactive. Others said the group had existed at one point but no longer did. And in some cases, administrators told us they had no affiliation with Turning Point USA at all.
And this lady has also proved that they can literally start a chapter in an abandoned school and get away with it.
Our chapter leaders are amazing. And there's some leaders you guys have not even seen or heard about yet, but you will one day, and you'll be blown away.
At this point, if you don't believe that they were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, at the very least, you should believe that these people are profiting off of his death and are doing some seriously shady stuff behind the scenes. Something about this organization is extremely shady. All of the people that are involved in this organization are extremely shady, and that the people running this organization, yes, including Erica Kirk, are not who they seem and are not who they say they are. So yeah, as I said, kind of seems like their narrative is completely crumbling, and they are doing everything and anything they can to cover up the crimes that they are committing and the corruption that exists in this organization.
They're processing their guilt in the way that they're processing their guilt.
Their grief.
Their grief. Thank you. And their mourning in the way that they know how. And it's going to come out in 1,000 different ways.
But hey, I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
Check out Ian Winster on X and YouTube and all those places for his content. And thank you very much. Technical difficulty, I don't know. It just I lost sound. Don't know why. I don't know if the dogs got a hold of the wires or something, but I reset the system and we're back on. So I apologize for that. My little technical difficulties. think I'm going to have my IT guy come in and give me to where automatically if I lose my system, it goes to a commercial or something, because that sucks when the whole screen goes dead like that. And it, hey, the truth is, man, I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but whenever I'm talking about different subjects, that's the kind of thing that happens around here. I don't know. It's just, I'm just a wacko. But let's take a little let's listen to this this joke, this what the hell is his name? Let me just play the clip.
Erica Kirk knew Trump before she knew Charlie. She actually won Trump's Miss Arizona pageant. Her parents are both from military intelligence family. Her dad did Raytheon arms deals with Israel, probably unrelated. And Erica Kirk was part of running an orphanage in Romania where children went missing. Enough children for Romania to permanently ban the orphanage and permanently ban Erica Kirk. Do you know how f***ed up you gotta be to get banned in Romania? Andrew Tate is the mayor there. You really gotta push some boundaries. Mind you, this is when Epstein was still active. So I'll let you connect the dots. By the way, I'm not suicidal. For the record, I am quite happy, okay? You heard it here. But the weirdest thing about Erica Kirk, she met Charlie Kirk, not on Christian Mingle. She went in to interview at his company, Turning Point USA. He said that he fell in love right away. Now, 4 years later, he's dead. And she has now inherited Turning Point USA. She's doing podcasts on it too. Like, I'm so excited. Like, to my future wife, please wait 2 months after I die before doing a podcast. 3 months if it's my own. Come on. When you look at how fast she moved on, and then you look at how it started and how it ended, how it started was not romance. How it started was her going in for a job, and how it ended was her getting a promotion. So I'm just saying. It was probably Tyler.
That guy's funnier than shit. Okay, that guy is a hoot. All right, so I hate when that happens, when I lose sound or my video goes out or something goes haywire or my videos start dragging. All that shit, it just irritates the shit out of me. So we're gonna recoup here right now. I really want to play this at the end. We'll cut YouTube and play it at the end. That's what we'll do. Because I have some stuff around medical freedom that we need to cut. We're just going to call it medical freedom right now. So back to the Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, Lance Twiggs, Tyler Robinson saga. Okay. So Brian Harple was on Sean Ryan right after. Remember, we talked about that earlier. He was on Sean Ryan right away talking about how he got to the hospital, found a gurney in the hallway, rolled him into the emergency room, into a room, cut his shirt off, and then started telling him what drugs to give him and all that stuff. Remember that? Do you remember that? Well, this ER nurse decided to come out and talk about that. And she's 20 years as an ER nurse. And let's listen to what she has to say about that great, big, fat lie.
I don't think Charlie Kirk was ever taken to an ER, and I'll tell you why. I've been an ER nurse for over 20 years, and a lot of things don't add up. Number one, Brian Harpole's story, which I'm about to rip apart, doesn't make any sense. Number two, I'm kind of shocked there's no cell phone footage from patients, visitors, people at the hospital that day. It's a little wild when a black SUV comes flying up at lunchtime in front of an ER with somebody's ass hanging out of it and a body and blood and just a bunch of craziness. And I'm picturing these like 4 or 5 men like running in with Frank Turek on FaceTime and who knows what. You're telling me none of the ER regulars, none of the nosy lobby patients, nobody pulled out a cell phone and was like, ooh, what's going on? Because like literally that happens when anything happens in an ER. So like, where are those people? Where are the visitors that day? Where's, the people that were standing outside smoking a cigarette? Like, where's our normal ER crowd? And if you work in an ER, you know exactly the people I'm talking about. You have them. Where are they? Where are they? Because those people will record everything and put it on Facebook Live in 0.2 seconds. So like, where are those people? Also, Where are the employees? I understand HIPAA is a thing. I totally understand that. But you're telling me that out of all the employees in that hospital, nobody has said shit through an anonymous source. Nobody has said shit through anybody. Okay. Yeah, sure. So just for shits and gigs, let's break down Brian Harpole's story here. And just for the record, I'm not editing this like while I'm driving because that would be stupid. But anyway, let's tear it apart.
Out and we carry in to the door. Well, once we make it into the door, we see a gurney on the left-hand side. We put him on a gurney and then I wheel him into a room.
No, you did not, sir. You absolutely did not. You're telling me that you threw Charlie on a gurney and pushed him into a room. Have you ever been into an ER? Like, ever? The rooms are not right there. You usually have to go through a check-in period, like a space, a lobby, through some double doors, maybe a few sets of double doors, like depending on the ER. There's no room right there. I have never in my life been into an ER where there's just a room, and never in my life have I seen a visitor or someone who does not work in that ER just decide we're just going to take this room. That does not happen. Ever. Would never, ever happen. Continue, sir.
I start giving the patient information to the staff there.
Okay, yeah, that one probably happened. Somebody does have to give the patient information to the staff. I'll give you that one, Brian.
I end up getting on top of him and cutting the shirt that he had on off, that white Freedom shirt. And so I cut it off so they could get to him, so that I didn't articulate this to them, but I wanted to get that stuff off so they could put a defibrillator on him.
Sir, are you telling me that you brought your own scissors into the emergency room? You moved the staff out of the way because they would have already been surrounding the patient. You moved the staff out of the way to cut off a murder victim's clothing. First of all, that clothing is usually evidence. It needs to be bagged. Even as an ER nurse, I know this. You put it in a brown paper bag, chain of custody, the whole deal. You're telling me that staff just let you climb on top of Charlie and cut his shirt off. And you're also telling me you did it because you wanted the staff to have a place for the defibrillator pads. Sir, they do that. That's what they do every day. They are fully aware of how to cut a shirt off, and they really do not need you doing that, nor would they allow you to do that. Well, I'm thinking his shirt was removed prior to arriving to the hospital because lots of reasons. But yeah, that shirt was gone. If Charlie even made it to the hospital, which I'm doubting, that shirt was not on his body when he was rolled through those doors. I would bet $100 on this, like easily. And I'd also like to add, he said something about I did that so I could they could put the defibrillators on him. I didn't articulate that to them at the time. Sir, you would not have had to articulate that to them at the time. The only reason you would even say that is if they were calling you out for your behavior in the middle of all of that stuff. They would call you out for your behavior. Like, why are you cutting this dude's shirt off? Like, get the F out of our way. So now you're trying to say that you were doing it for the defibrillator. You just didn't announce it. Okay, continue.
And so, and then started talking about pushing drugs. And so I was back and forth with them on drugs and defibrillator.
Oh, so you were running the code too. You were running the full ACLS protocol, were you, Brian? You were discussing the drugs with the doc and the defibrillation with the doc. How many joules was that, Brian? How many joules did you deliver those defibrillations at, Brian? What drugs did you advise the doctor that he should give the patient? I'm just curious. Like, just curious. Go on, Brian. Go on.
And so then, you know, once you get that shirt cut off and moved out of the way, you know, there's enough of medical professionals in there. And so I just want to get out of their way. And so I got out of their way and walked out of the room.
What do you think of all that? Oh, what happened? Okay. What do you think about all that? Do you think that she's right, or do you think that it's possible that Brian Harple was able to go in there and take over the emergency room? Just curious. You know, just curious. That's all. Just curious. Just trying to piece it together, as they say. Anyway, it's crazy. The shit that they try and throw at us is just wild. Looking for a clip, I don't see it. All right. All right. I misplaced a good joke. So I did. All right. Anyway, we'll move on. All right. So let's get into this. Election integrity. This is from whitehouse.gov. Ensuring the integrity of our elections is fundamental to preserving trust in America's democracy. Following the 2020 presidential election, concern about potential irregularities prompted detailed examination of voting process, data security, and registration policies. No, registration practices across multiple states. Below, you can download documents and reports addressing key areas of election integrity. And as I said earlier, I went in to do that, and it the files were too big. I couldn't. They wouldn't download. So but I have some reports we're going to get into. Patrick Burns, if you remember him, he's been all over this for years, ever since the 2020 election, when him and Sidney Powell was talking to Trump about what to do, and he didn't take Patrick Burns' advice at the time. Right when they stole the election, Patrick Burns was like, "This is what they did. This is how they did it. We've seen it. Blah 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 blah," and he didn't listen. Well, and then everybody started getting fired from their jobs, and they started indicting people and all that stuff because of this election, 2020 election. Joe Biden gets elected, and then they indicted a bunch of people. Then they had January 6th, and all that stuff happened. And now everybody's been vindicated. Now, Patrick Byrne goes on. This is a shorter clip, but we're going to start right here talking about election integrity and what has happened after Trump's little presser that he had yesterday, his speech or whatever you want to call it. Stand by.
Pay attention to the documents that were released. And the documents that were released are decisive, are just decisive. It knocks the legs out from under all the people who've been fighting us. They knew about Venezuela. They knew that Venezuela produced equipment that was made to hack. They knew that Venezuela used it in their own elections. They knew that equipment was really the guts of the equipment we have in the USA. They knew that China did successfully penetrate our voter rolls and penetrate our equipment. So, I mean, the whole thing is, I say it's a home run. And so you pay attention not just to what he said, but those documents are conclusive. There's a CIA document I sent you that was declassified. That was a summary of, they have now reviewed their 04 to 2020 analysis. And they knew it. They buried that they knew it. They lied to Trump about it, that they knew it. It's all in there. It's all in there. That side of the info war is over. That battle.
So let me tell you about this briefly. So all the staff in the White House during the 2020 election, they had the information. They had all this information, but they didn't give it to Trump. Now, this has been going on since 2004, 2008. It's been going on. Hugo Chavez was one of the ringleaders back when the elections started getting stolen. They put Obama in office. Okay, they put Obama in office. I want you to hear that. Hillary Clinton was supposed to win the election as well, but they thought because they thought that they had stolen enough in the 2016 election that Hillary Clinton was going to get in office. All the stuff that happened in 2020 was supposed to happen in 2016. The COVID, the lockdowns, all that stuff, the vaccine stuff, everything was supposed to happen in 16, but it got prolonged, and then they used it as a weapon against Trump. So so that he wasn't popular enough, and then they stole the 2020 election. But listen to this report right here from I think it's Laura Logan had this I don't know if he's CIA or whatever he was, talking about the 2008 election because it goes back to then. Stand by.
Dean showed me the evidence that Gary and he had gathered over 3 years of investigation. I was absolutely, like you would be, absolutely floored. And I'm like, well, our foreign enemies are attacking our country and nobody's doing anything about it, right? I thought when this evidence was presented to the public and presented to people on the Hill and presented to the Justice Department and so on, that this would raise a firestorm, that people would go, hey, we're under attack. We've been penetrated from within. We need to take care of this immediately. Instead, nobody did anything. I mean, all of this evidence was turned over to the Trump administration within weeks of when they came into office. And it's only now that they're starting to act. It's all going to be about 2020. And it's not about 2020. That was one election. Like I said, it started in 2008. In fact, Hugo Chavez's head of security, Hugo Chavez turned to his head of security before the 2008 election and famously said, watch me, I'm going to put the first African-American in office as president of the United States. And he did. That's how shocking this is.
Cozying up to Russia? What happened to the Republican Party? Its central organizing principle in foreign policy was the fight against communism, and now they're cozying up to the former head of the KGB, actively blocking legislation that would defend our elections from Russian attack. What happened? In the end, the threat to our democracy doesn't just come from Donald Trump or the current batch of Republicans in Congress or the Koch brothers and their lobbyists or too much compromise from Democrats or Russian hacking. The biggest threat to our democracy is indifference.
So they're starting the propaganda right now, and it's going to get thick. That was an older clip, but listen to what CNN said about. So a lot of the news outlets, or none of the news outlets except for Fox News, ran the story or put his speech up. They refused to put it up, and then they came in later and they acted like, oh well, we have to fact check it first. Now he was that if you didn't see the speech, it was about China stealing our elections and Venezuela stealing our elections and the election fraud and all that stuff and the machines and all that stuff. That's what the majority of his address was about. And listen to what CNN said. They literally said it on air that they censored him to fact check what he said because he's a liar, basically.
He did the same thing as this network, CNN, last night. The newsrooms monitored the speech, evaluated what was actually newsworthy, looked at the documents Trump was declassifying, and then reported on what happened. NBC and ABC both went on the air with special reports to explain that the speech had happened and to summarize what Trump had said, but most importantly, to contextualize it and fact check it, just as CNN did. Now, Trump was ominously claiming that the networks were part of a plot, but the only real plot here, the only intention is to remain reality-based and truth-based. Trump's election lies led to violence after the 2020 election. So this is a subject that really does warrant extra care and attention by journalists. And frankly, some network executives felt that it would be dangerous to just air Trump's speech live in full, unedited, without knowing what he was going to say ahead of time. That's where we are in America. And we have been here before. I remember during some of Trump's COVID-19 briefings in 2020.
I'm not going to go back into history.
It was a stolen election.
It was stolen.
Stolen. He's an illegitimate president. He's an illegitimate president.
You know, pretending to be president.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he didn't.
1/3 of Clinton supporters say Trump election is not legitimate.
I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win.
You are absolutely right. You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
The 2016 election was stolen. Got a nicer way to say that?
Say Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia hacked our elections.
A little louder, please.
Russia hacked our election. That was a 9/11 scale event.
This was a kind of cyber 9/11. American
cyber
institutions.
9/11.
Yes.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia, of course, hacked our election here.
Half of Clinton's voters believe the conspiracy theory that Russia hacked election day votes.
We know that they were into voting rolls, actual interference with the elections themselves. We know it happened.
Despite no credible evidence, 67% of Democrats believe Russia tampered with vote tallies.
Hacking the U.S. election.
Hacking the U.S. election. Russia hacked our election. The Russians hacked our election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russian hacking of our election.
Hacking of our election. Russia hacked our elections.
Russia hacked our elections.
Stolen election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia hacked our
The
election.
universal assessment that Russia hacked our election in 2016.
Foreign governments hacked our elections.
Most young Americans consider Donald Trump an illegitimate president.
He's an illegitimate president.
Why is he illegitimate? He just won an election.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind. That's it.
I absolutely agree.
Experts urge Clinton Kent to challenge election results.
We will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
So you remember in the last few months before Gabbard left, Tulsi Gabbard, she put out a bunch of documents about how the Russia hoax was all propaganda made up by Obama. Obama was a ringleader for this. I know y'all remember this because we played it a bunch. So they were saying that Russia stole the election in 2016, and they ran with that for years. They tried to impeach Trump around it and a bunch of stuff. Remember, perfect phone call, and all that stuff. And then what happened? You find out years and years later that the whole thing was a propaganda stunt ran through the media from Obama. And then now you hear what they're saying. We can't trust what Trump, and Trump, there's a bunch of stuff that I do not like about Trump, but this particular situation, it sounds like he may be on the right path to doing something about our elections, because that is the most important thing is elections. Nobody trusts elections. Everybody's talking about they're not going to vote because why vote? They just steal it anyway. So if they can turn this around, that's great. But there's a lot to this. So let's listen to what Trump had to say. I have a few reports on this, but let's listen to what Trump had to say. It's not how long is this? It's a couple minutes.
Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system, and that is to make that system secure, one where cheating and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard. Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes like levels never thought possible, the hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you, the American people, our beautiful, our great American people. But that all changes right now. The documents we will release starting tonight have been gathered by the White House Government Transparency Task Force, a great group of people, along with the staff of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, supported by our top intelligence agency chiefs, who have all personally reviewed the findings. We are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly. And that's what we're doing.
So the beginning of the first 5 minutes of his speech was just, oh, how great America is, and we're better than we've ever been, and all that bullshit, all lies, in my opinion, totally my opinion. I'm not a Trump apologist by any means, but if this happens the way he says it is going to, and I tried to open the documents, but I couldn't get them on. It might be operator error, so I'll have my IT guy help me out with that, and maybe we can get them open and we can read some of the documents and find out what's in there. But from my understanding, is China is heavily involved. They arrested Maduro a year ago or so, and he. My understanding is he turned state's evidence and he gave them all the information, all that stuff. I don't know how true that is. I just know what I've heard. So we'll see how that goes, that part of it. But it does sound like they're doing something about it. And in the next days, all that you're going to hear on, if you go on any of the mainstream media, is they're going to all be talking about how Trump's trying to steal the election and how he's trying to interfere with the election and all that stuff. That's the propaganda that they're already pushing out. It's just, that's what they do. We just know that that's how they're going to operate. So anyway, let's listen. I have a couple more on this. I want to make sure and do Catherine Heritage, but before I do, I want to listen to the CIA officer talking about the election and how the details around the stolen election of 2020.
Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption.
In Trump's speech, he's saying specifically that Venezuela has the ability to rig our elections and our electronic voting machines. This is highlighted directly from the report. CIA report confirms the Venezuelan plot to digitally rig elections in 2020 by altering vote totals undetectably. And this was exactly exposed by Laura Logan. She did a full interview with a former CIA officer, and he went over all of this.
Well, the important thing to understand here is that Smartmatic has its office in Caracas, and it's co-located with the Consejo National Electoral, the National Electoral Commission. And there's 150 Smartmatic engineers and 150 CNE engineers side by side. They have two missions. Number one, steal elections. Number two, defeat audit. Study audit. How do different states and different localities conduct audit so that when they're audited, you defeat audit? An example, when people put absentee ballots on a scanner, it'll take a picture and take a picture and take a picture. And then when it's about to save them, it gets ready to take a picture of almost 100 together. But what it does is they erase that picture, send in another picture, because all these machines are connected to the internet. They're all hooked up. They're not supposed to be. A new picture comes in, 100 votes or 90% for the person that they want. Mm-hmm. But when you do the audit, you're not allowed to look in the box. You have to look at the screens. They've changed the rules around the country in the different states that make it almost impossible to show that they cheated because of, and what they do also is they'll make proprietary the source code. You can't examine that. You can't look at different types of technologies proprietary because that's where they're cheating. And they blocked those individuals very cleverly. One of the things that we learned is there's 14 different technical ways that you can steal an election. And they're operating off different parts of the machinery, but they can use number 1 and number 3, number 6 and number 7. They can use combinations, and they never use the same combinations in adjacent districts.
So that you can't find patterns.
They prepare an election a year in advance. They have the poll books. They have hundreds of people. They have statisticians. They have comms engineers, software engineers. This was the science of engineer theft and a multi-billion-dollar business globally.
And that's what you document in this book is how they have, it started.
So this is from a former CIA officer. He is telling us that our voting machines are rigged in every single district.
Yeah. So we knew this. We know that they've been doing this stuff, and we know that we watched it in 2020 where Trump is ahead, and then all of a sudden, 900 and something votes all for Biden. Remember that? They just did that in California recently. They stole the election from Pratt right in front of our face because he was winning by a margin, large margins, and then all of a sudden he lost, right? And then they just keep voting. They just keep counting ballots. You know what I mean? They got the mail-in ballots. They just keep counting them until they have enough, and then they're like, "Oh, we won." That's how they do it. Anyway, Catherine Heritage. Let's listen to what she has to say. Now, if I'm not mistaken, she's one of the reporters that was fired during the 2020 debacle. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'll look it up while we watch this video.
So first, just your reaction to the president's announcement tonight.
Well, I think it's a very significant announcement, not only what he said, but the fact that they are releasing these documents so that we can really fact check the claims we heard this evening. I've been digging into the documents already, and I found this November 2020 email, and it specifically states, it's a conversation among intelligence officials. It specifically states that they have, quote, deliberately massaged one of our pending PDBs, that's the president's daily brief, to avoid any direct links to the election. And that is consistent with my reporting. I understand the whistleblower complaint alleged, and I think we're now seeing it in the emails, that there was an intentional effort to suppress intelligence about China's influence operations. And this was, Katie, like a massive effort, what they call a multi-domain operation. That means trade, it means diplomacy, it means open source information, it means social media. So all the levers of power China had to influence the U.S. elections.
In your reporting, you've said that a senior intelligence official emphasized to you that in 2020, China was not held to the same standard as Russia and other adversaries, including North Korea, Iran, and proxies like Hezbollah, and that the Chinese influence operations were consistently downplayed while Russia's were routinely amplified. You also talked about this whistleblower who was reportedly retaliated against for trying to bring this information to light.
So in the summer of 2020, as we're heading into the election, in the intelligence community, there were indicators of this Chinese influence operation. Influence operations means that you're trying to affect the outcome of how people vote or their sentiment about a presidential candidate. It's different than an interference operation, which is penetrating voting rolls and voter systems. And this whistleblower was raising the alarm about the influence operation, and then suddenly it all was suppressed. My understanding is that some of their reports, there were in officials' own handwriting that they wanted everything out that could help President Trump in his reelection. So there was clear evidence of political and personal bias, and intelligence is supposed to be neutral. So what we heard tonight from the president is an allegation that this intelligence was suppressed in order to harm him. And now we're seeing documents already which back up those claims.
What we just heard was that the CIA was doing everything possible to make sure that Donald Trump was not elected. They were hiding evidence. They were hiding evidence of election interference from China. They were making sure that Democrats were going to get elected. So this is somebody who worked at the CIA during the Trump administration. And he basically confirms everything that they're saying, that everybody at the CIA hated Trump. They didn't recognize him as a president. Let's take a listen. It's exactly what you would expect.
You're working at CIA during the Trump election. What was the view of that within the CIA? What do people think of Trump at CIA?
Well, what I found interesting was every government building usually has the picture of the president, the vice president. In this particular case, I don't know how many months it took them to eventually put the picture of the president, the vice president up on the wall, as if they didn't even want to recognize him as the president or the vice president. I mean, it got so bad in one of my offices that one of the leaders actually spoke out and said, look, we have to respect the chain of command. If you find yourself mentally distressed because Trump won the presidency, go seek some psychological help.
Yeah, so I was mistaken. It was the Hunter Biden laptop thing that Catherine Heritage was fired from CBS News. She was a reporter there. I mean, she was one of their top people too, by the way. It's crazy that, they just, so I'm sure the Biden laptop thing was a major thing that was going on back in the, years ago, which, we know what that was about. Anyway, let's keep going here. We got this, Patrick Burns talking to Alex Jones today about the election files that they have released and are about to release in the days to come. And there's tons of them already released. Again, I can't get into them, but I'm gonna work on them this week and see if I can maybe I'll get some pulled for tomorrow's show. I'll do my best, but let's listen to this report from Patrick Burns.
Historically, I just want you to not savor this moment, but highlight this for people, how big this is. Because when you say it's done, this just blew up the Death Star, I'm guessing why you're saying that. I agree with you, because now this is in the court of public opinion, and what this does to the courts and what this does for people's standings, all citizens that have voted or disenfranchised have standing, the state attorney generals have standing. This just opened up, this just blew the big bridge off the enemy castle. We now have breached their wall. Our armies are now pouring in. And instead, I see a bunch of people going, I only want the Epstein files. I only want to focus on Israel. That's all important. But the point is, we just blew a big ass hole in the side of their ass. Okay. We just breached their main wall. We just blew the living fucking shit out of them. This is a big deal. This could bring down the whole thing. Go ahead.
Right. We put a number of torpedoes right below the bow line of their aircraft carrier. Now we just need to make it sink. Yeah, this is the biggest thing. Trump actually said the other day, this is the biggest attack on the U.S. since 1776. He's correct. I've been speaking that way occasionally for 4 or 5 years, and I guess I sounded loony to people. But he's correct. If this thing is broken.
Yeah, I forgot. In fact, you've said exactly on my show at least 5 times I remember over the last 4 or 5 years, or even back when I was meeting with you in Flynn in 2020, you said this is as big a threat to America as since our founding. Go ahead.
Absolutely. It's bigger than World War II. It's bigger than World War I. It's so Chinese to come at us in a way. The Chinese say, Sun Tzu says, the greatest victory is to win without fighting. You don't even know. We all think we're in a fight with each other. It's not. If China is picking our elections, and they're smart enough not to just make us elect a bunch of communists overnight, but we elect a bunch of people to our school boards who are going to teach that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. So we invert. It's partly a psyop. And we're going to elect.
Well, they have generals on Chinese TV admitting they're financing Hollywood, all the anti-white, the transgender, Black Lives Matter. And then people go, oh, no, the left's doing it too. I know, but China is one of the biggest funders. They're involved in everything. The Confucius Institutes, controlling Democrat lawmakers. I mean, they are all over our ass.
Exactly. And then you're electing Soros. By the way, Soros' funding comes from Venezuela for this stuff. We know he got 11 or 12 billion from the cartel. So then they're electing DAs who don't enforce the law. And it's okay to steal less than $1,000. And somebody hijacked somebody else with a gun in their face, but we'll let them out for $1 bail. So you break down all of this is a very carefully managed psychological operation to overthrow us, and pulling the strings in the distant background has been China all along.
I remember
And you've
General
been-
Benton Parton.
and
Just
you've
interrupt
been
you.
way ahead of-
That's it. I got to interrupt you
you've
because
been
you're so
way ahead
right.
of everybody.
I got to interrupt you because you're so right, Patrick. I used to have General Benton K. Parton, the former head of Air Force Weapons Development, on the show all the time. He's dead now. And he was an incredible guy. And he was in charge of the military's also a bunch of anti-communist stuff. And he explained to me, he said, when they're getting ready to take over, this is like 25 years ago, he goes, they're going to put in DAs and judges that let murderers out one day later. They're going to create crime. They're going to make petty theft legal to break down society and create lawlessness to get you used to it so that then they let the communists know you can kill whoever you want in the uprising. We're just going to let you out. And he said, when you see them do that, that's when you know the communist takeover is commencing. And I was like, I wasn't rolling my eyes. But he says, it's part of the program. And he would explain it all. And literally 25 years later, we are in it exactly as you said. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We have political scientists have a term for it called anarcho-tyranny. Anarcho-tyranny. They know there's too many checks, constitutional checks, for them just to impose tyranny. So what they do is they stop enforcing the law so you can attack. So the left people can go and attack people and cry. And if you do, look at what's happening in Britain. There's all these attacks on little girls. And if somebody posts, oh, I don't like them raping my little girls, he's in prison for 30 months. The bad guys running around with bats and clubs and swords. And if a white guy or a British guy has a penknife on him longer than 3 inches, oh my God, he's in jail. So it's anarcho-tyranny. They establish their tyranny by letting anarchy reign. And then
two-tier justice.
They make it so one side of society can attack the other and the other side can't defend itself. And eventually you slide right into tyranny.
Exactly, two-tiered. So please continue. So this is devastating. Trump says, he says that they're about to release a report specifically on the machines and China. And you know what's in there. How big is this going to be?
Oh, well, it's going to be, I'll show you. I actually just sent your people 2 exhibits that should be put up next to each other.
Okay.
We actually can go through one of them quickly. I don't know if they can. One of them is an advertisement for a Liberty voting machine. Put that up alongside. Yeah, on the left is Liberty, the new version of Dominion, advertising. Here are our ballot marking devices. If you look on the right, this is an email. We've talked about this on your show, I think yesterday, from Dominion to somebody in China, and somebody in China writing back saying, meanwhile, the tablet arrives at Shanghai Customs and will be cleared next week. You'll get your tablets. Those tablets that are being discussed in that email coming from Shanghai, China, is this tablet now with a Liberty brand on it. You can't vote on this. It's compromised so many different ways. There's other emails that show they have an opportunity to edit the firmware. We talked about that yesterday. And the firmware establishes if you can change the firmware, you can tell this thing to open up a port, download new software, don't make any log of it. It's completely unusable. So what Liberty is advertising today in their site is this stuff that secretly comes from Shanghai. And you were right, they fence it through Taiwan. They make it look like it's coming through Taiwan. It's from mainland China, and it's loaded up with what they want to load on it.
Lord Vader.
That's crazy, huh? That's absolutely wild. So we'll get into more of this tomorrow during the show. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I mean, I hope that something really happens with this because, when you think about how China, the report, I just read it, says, this is from whitehouse.gov. It says they show that over a period of years, starting in 2020, the PRC, People's Republic of China, carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China explicitly Illicit accusations of 220 million U.S. voter files. So they got a hold of 220 million voter files, and was so I mean that's crazy. I mean, anyway, we're gonna I'll pull in some stuff from tomorrow for that. I'll get into the website and check that out. I just found a link on X that I can open the files, so I'll pull some in for tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you for being here. Make sure that you go to the description in the show notes and go get you some zeolite. $1 a day. It takes away parasites and fluoride and all that stuff, that all the toxins, takes all the toxins out of your system. And it only took me about 2 weeks before I started having vivid dreams again. I hadn't had dreams in years because of all the crap I fed myself my whole life. So check it out. Stay healthy out there. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you for being here. Please share this content everywhere. Open source. You're welcome to anything I have. You don't have to ask for permission. Do whatever you want with it. Please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you all. Good night.